Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Todah Rabbi Yahweh. Good morning to you, all the awesome tribes of Israel. Shabbat Shalom to you. All you in the room, welcome. I will kick start it now, as I was in the middle of something, reviewing something. So left it a little late today, or at least a little on time. So about 2 minutes. Still probably have more people to turn up in the room. I think that maybe 10 o'clock Eastern time is maybe still, too early for them. So, okay. Our Parsha today, Torah portion reading, is teze in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 21. We'll look at that a little bit, of course. And before we do, we'll look at our weekly joke. Two little boys were known troublemakers, stealing everything they could get their hands on, even from the church. One day a priest stopped one of the boys and asked, "Where is God?" The boy shrugged, and the priest repeated, "Where is God?" The boy ran out of the cathedral, crying to his home, where he hid in a closet. Eventually his brother found him and asked, "What's wrong?" The crying boy replied, "We're in trouble now. God is missing, and I think we took him." There's actually an interesting anecdote behind the story, and we'll look at that as well. But before we do, I just wanted to point out that we are kind of close to the festivals coming up. As you know, our festivals are around the corner, and we have Shabbat Shalom to Rabbi Kefa and all the other rabbis present, Rabbi Zachariah, and all the other family members are regulars coming in. So what I was saying is that the important thing was the festivals. Now, of course, some of you might be confused. Why do we operate two calendars? We have a solar calendar, which is the Enoch calendar that we operate, and we also have a lunar calendar that we operate. Shabbat Shalom to Rabbi Hanani as well. So the reason why we do that is because some people, like myself, have absolutely no problem managing the solar calendar, because it's straightforward, nothing changes, the dates are fixed every year, and we can plan a year ahead if we need to. So we don't have to worry about what date the festival is going to be on, because it's already preset and it never changes. The only thing that will ever change is the day the festival is on, otherwise the date is the same. So that's really good for us on a practical basis, because that actually, by the way, is the Torah calendar. Now, of course, during the 3rd and the 4th century, a new calendar was adopted, which is called the lunar calendar. And that is today prevalent, and you'll find this all over the internet. It's called the Jewish lunar calendar. It was invented by a rabbi, by the way. It wasn't given by God. And because of this invention, a lot of the modern Jews today, and probably a lot of the Christians who claim to keep the festivals, they follow this lunar calendar. So we have two calendars in operation, and this is for those people that are working in offices and that may have struggled to take time off for the fixed calendar, and they may be like, well, it's easier for me to take the regular lunar calendar's festival days off, because one, the offices know about them. Most of the American offices and maybe even the British, European offices know that a certain festival of a certain Jewish holiday is falling on a particular day. So so they kind of look it up and they know, oh yeah, our worker's going to take a day off, such and such. So it's helpful for those people to do it in that particular way. That's why they follow the lunar calendar. So it's really no problem if you follow the lunar or the solar. As long as you honor the day to God, that is what is important here. Honor the day, meaning it was permitted in the ancient times also to honor a different day. In other words, two rabbis could sit together and arrive at a different day for a festival, and it was okay for people to do that. And even some people did both days. Some people said, well, we'll do this day and the next day, and that was fine as well. So therefore, this is an ancient custom. It's nothing new. We have had disagreements in the past with other rabbinic authorities, and we have done our own thing. So it doesn't really matter what they think, because two people can arrive at different conclusions and still keep the festival and still honor God. It's all about honoring God. Now you might say, you might be tempted to say, well, could we honor God by observing a different Sabbath day? Well, yes, it's possible to do that, and Christians do that all the time, because Christians say that we're going to honor God by doing Sunday. Well, that's fine, because that is their day, because they attribute that day to the resurrection day. Now, the problem is this, that we did not start our life with resurrection. We started our life, our really base journey in the Torah started with our Exodus. So we cannot base it on a resurrection. We have to base it on our Exodus out of Egypt. And so that starts with the Shabbat, by the way. So hence why it started with a festival, if you note, the Passover festival. Hence why Sabbaths are more important to us than like a day just as Sunday. So absolutely, Rabbi Kefa is saying that most people are still fighting over the festival days, truly missing the spirit of the law. Yeah, that's absolutely correct, because today people still fight over, well, is it going to be a lunar festival? Is it going to be a solar? Is it going to be, some people do the Sabbath, weekly Sabbath on a lunar cycle, which is like 8, 15 days of the month, 2 days of the month, and 29 days of the month. Some people do that too. Again, these are all inventions that occurred later in history. The lunar weekly Sabbath was an invention by a person in a jail who was stuck in jail and nothing better to do, and invented the lunar Sabbath. And so some people follow him like he's some kind of demigod. And they don't even know, they're so ignorant, they don't even know this person invented this. So again, they try to use verses in the Bible out of context, trying to pre-fit their ideas that somehow this is the way it's supposed to be. Like I said, if the idea behind the lunar Sabbath, lunar weekly Sabbath, is to honor God, then fair enough. Then they can do that. I mean, if that's what they desire, no problem. They can do that. I really don't have no problem with it. I don't no problem with what festivals, what festivals they keep and what days they choose. Now, I know that last week there is a group, a Nazarene group, that they were doing their Yom Teruah, Feast of Trumpets, already occurred for them last week. I don't know if it was a Friday or a Saturday, but their feast already happened. So I'm pretty sure in the next couple of days they'll be doing the Feast of Atonement, the 10th day. So they're almost there. So this is my point of how these groups are divided among themselves between what days they should follow and what days should not follow. Again, I don't get into that. I'm not interested, because my interest is not so much with what festival days you're going to keep. My interest is more with, are you getting the heart and the desire of God in the Bible, and is your life at a place where it needs to be? That's my focus on. My focus is not on where two people can choose 2 different days to celebrate, and that's okay. I'm going to gripe with that. But if both of those people, let me put it to the to the bottom line. The bottom line is this, that if 2 people have absolutely broken homes, then what difference does it make what Sabbath you keep? Does it make a difference what Sabbath you keep if both of you have broken homes? And the answer is absolutely makes no difference, because my goodness, your homes are broken. Shouldn't you be focused on fixing your home, or should you be focused on fixing your Sabbath? I would focus on fixing my home, and the Sabbath will fix itself. But that's because the Sabbath is for the family, Sabbath is for humanity, and Sabbath is not some crutch that people fight along for and run along with. Now, of course, our Parsha is Parsha's teze, and it talks about, we'll look at this a little bit, and we'll talk about other things as well, because this is all again this is part parcel family. The whole Parsha is focused on family, and this is where plural marriage comes in, by the way, something that people don't like to hear. And That like Kefa saying, if you mistreat your wife, what does it matter what Sabbath you keep? Absolutely, and there are religious people like that who mistreat their children, their wives, but they think that they're keeping a perfect Sabbath. Absolutely irrelevant. So this parasha speaks about a person going to war. The book of Deuteronomy, chapters 21:10 says, when you go forth to war against your enemies, and Yahweh your power has given them into your hands, and you have taken them captive, and see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you find her attractive, that you would like to have her to be your wife. Then you shall bring her home to your bait, and she shall shave her head and trim her nails, and she shall remove the clothes before being captured, and shall remain in your bait, etc., etc., meaning that you can take this woman as your wife. Now, it then goes in verse 15 and says, if man has two wives, one beloved and another loved less. Now, your King James Bible translate this pretty badly, very badly actually, because the King James Version says, in the same verse, if I can pull it up here, Deuteronomy 20, it says, let's see, Deuteronomy chapter 21 verses 15, Deuteronomy 21 verses 15, it says, if a man have two wives, one beloved and another hated. You see what I mean? What a terrible translation, another hated. That's not the case. The actual word is to be loved less. And they have borne him children, both the beloved and the loved less. And then, because the word that he uses there in the Hebrew tongue is not the word for hate, unfortunately. This is where the King James translators made a pretty bad mistake. It uses the word saneh, and saneh doesn't mean to hate somebody. It depends what context it's used in. It actually was to do something, to love less is a more appropriate context for this word. So, because it's talking about in a relationship context, not in a war context. So, it says that, the Bechor, the firstborn son of the one that was, it says, and they were born him children, both the beloved and the loved less. And if the Bechor son was on the one that was loved less, then it shall be when he makes his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved Bechor before the son of the loved less. In other words, what he's saying, actually, if you look at it, it's presenting the story of Jacob. This is the ideal. This is the story of Jacob and his two wives, or I should say 4 wives. So Jacob loved one wife more, and he loved the other one less. So Leah was loved less, and Rahel was loved more by Jacob. So this really is a honing in on Jacob's history, and it's saying that if you end up in Jacob's situation, and you end up being loving one woman more than the other, but you cannot force, you cannot forfeit, or you cannot steal the inheritance. Basically saying, do not take the son of the woman that you love more and place her as the first inheritance, because if the woman you married first, the Bechor, meaning the firstborn, if your son is before the loved more one, then the loved less one, even though she has a son before, the inheritance goes to him, in spite of the fact that you can love him. So what does the Torah teach? So the Torah teaches practical reality. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, a woman yesterday. We were talking about marriage, and I said to the woman that if I was to marry more than one wife, I would not be able to guarantee that I can love all my wives. And she is like, how come? I said, because I'm human. That's how come. Because I cannot guarantee that I will love all the women the same. I'm human. And I said, King Solomon, I said, of course I aspire to King Solomon. She said, how many wives did King Solomon had? I said, over 1,000. I'm like, I'm not King Solomon, but I said, I love the man. I said, I love the man. And absolutely, if I could keep 1,000 wives, I'll keep 2,000 wives. But I said, the point is not sex, and the point is not, well, how much sex can you have? I said that it's not about even keeping 1,000 wives. I said the point is this: can I love them all? And the answer is going to be no. I cannot love 1,000 wives. Let's be real about this. I said I can't love 7 wives. Forget about 1,000 wives. Loving 1,000 wives, it's not possible for me. I said even I will say this: that if I had 3 wives, I would not be able to guarantee equal love for 3 wives. So I'd have to think about it. Should I really want 3 wives if I can't love them? And if a woman says to me, well, I have to marry you, I don't care whether you love me enough or not, I said, then that puts me in a little bit of a bind. Because if a woman says to me, I have to marry you, irrespective of whether you love me less or more, but I just want to be your wife. A woman could say that in the East, and women do say that in the East, by the way. And so I said, then I cannot guarantee equality for love. However, as a human being, all you can guarantee is, try your best, basically. So I said, therefore, if a woman feels, I said, look, there is no force in these things. If a woman feels that a man cannot love her equally, then she should not marry him. Why is she wanting to marry him? If a man tells her, look, I cannot guarantee equal love, then maybe she needs to go marry somebody else. Then why bother the man? Why keep chasing after him and saying, I have to marry you? So anyway, so that was my conversation that I had with a woman recently. And so I was like very particularly clear that I'm not saying that I'm an unfair person, but I said I'm not an unfair person, but I will say this, that I cannot guarantee equal love for all of my wives. It just cannot be guaranteed. And I said, I can tell you this much. If you're going to tell me that King Solomon married women for sex, and I'll tell you no, he did not marry for sex, because King Solomon had over 1,000 wives. He cannot go through those wives, even if he was a most virulent man in his young age. He has to wait 3.5 years to go through 1,000 wives. If he slept every night with every woman, this is a conversation I'm having with this person. I said, if he slept with every woman having sex every night, he cannot go through each wife. It actually will take him 3.5 years to go through each wife. And I said, maybe by that time, he will fall down dead. Because, he spent himself. But I said, let's be real about this. Do we really think that a man who's married to 1,000 wives is going to be having intimate relation every night? I said, this is the king we're talking about. It's no ordinary person, Joe Bloggs on the street. This was a king. He had to attend to, normal functions, the health of the nation. He had to go abroad to visit nations. It just cannot be possible. He cannot be with every woman every night. So why did King Solomon take all these wives? I said, the answer is very simple. They were gifted to him. Rather than make them all servants and, fetch my dishes and clean my shoes, he just thought, what, it'd be nice just to make them my wife, and they can have cushy life, and they can have nice food, and they can have nice clothes. I said, which woman doesn't want that? Show me a single woman that don't want to have nice clothes and nice, perfume and makeup. Today, every woman wants that. Every woman out there says, buy me makeup, buy me clothes, buy me shoes, buy me a nice phone. And of course there was clickers in the room because I was right. So, this is what women want today. All women want makeup, shoes, phone. How many of you have entered a relationship and the woman has turned around and said, hey, honey, could you get me that phone? I really like that Note 9 phone. Or she might say, I want that iPhone. I really like it. I really like that, Gucci purse over there. That happens, and that happens with people. So I said, therefore, it is absolutely critical to understand that women don't just marry for sex. Women marry for luxury too. I said, yeah, because I know it. I've been there. So I said, you're talking to a person in the know. You're not talking to somebody who lived in a closet all his life. So, but I said, this is the reality of life. The reality of life is that we cannot say King Solomon had 1,000 wives and we all need to do the same, because we cannot all do the same. Okay, Adelia saying that, is it the same with Sarah's son who was born after Hagar's son who was born first, and Sarah was Abraham's beloved wife, inherited everything, and not Hagar who was born first? It's very similar, Adelia, but remember that Abraham already had another wife before even Sarah and before even Hagar. He had the Keturah wife. She already had 6 sons, so Abraham wasn't without sons. So actually Keturah would be the rightful owner, but due to the placement of north and south wives, which I've written about in my book in the previous past, due to the placement of the north and south wives, which I think I wrote about this in my patriarchal lifestyle book, he was instructed by God. Actually, his son that would have inherited would have been from Keturah, but he was and she would have been she would be the a mother of an Arab, basically an Arab. She was an Arab woman, and it would have been the Arab son that would have inherited everything. But God told Abraham that it will be Isaac that will inherit everything. So he picked the wife in the north, which was Sarah, and God rearranged it a little bit. That's how that was rearranged for Abraham, but it's kind of on similar level. So, I kind of have interesting conversations with people along my walks in life, and I'm pretty sure as I travel to the east next week, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have many interesting conversations with people over there. And lots to share and lots to say and lots to listen to as well. So as I was saying, that I was saying to this ladies who were asking questions regarding biblical history and biblical things going on, biblical family, and I can talk about that all day and all night, and probably have plenty of time spare to talk more. So I was instructing this person that we do not go out and randomly just boom, 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 pick wives left, right, center. We don't do that. We're not supposed to. And the only time we end up in situations where we might get married with an additional wife is if, it happened for some, I don't know, some reason, like maybe a children reason, maybe you want more children, maybe you have businesses that you cannot look after in one country versus another country. You're a traveling man, you're a traveling businessman or something. So I was trying to explain that these things happen due to businesses, maybe land, because we don't want to lose our land to other people, and we have a wife that we marry into families. And I was explaining that my father's family did not marry outside the family for generations because they did not want to lose their land to outsiders. But I said it was only recently, in the last maybe 20 years, that our family actually, after going to England, our family's been in England for 60 years, but I said after family going to England, it was only in the last 20 years that our parents allowed the children to marry outside the family. Before they said, there's no way, you cannot marry outside the family. You have to marry a cousin, or you have to marry one of their nieces, or whatever, something like that. It was written. And I was explaining that I even knew my nephew. My nephew, I remember he was only 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and he was betrothed to a girl who was also about maybe 2 years old, and he was betrothed to her. They were babies, and they betrothed. Both of these people were my cousins, and the children were my nephew and niece. So my nephew and niece were betrothed to each other. And they were like, wow, this really happened? I said, yes, this really happened. And I said, the boy grew up in my own hands. He grew up to be a beautiful, handsome 20-year-old young man. And the girl grew up to be a 17-year-old, 18-year-old young woman. And then they got married. And today they have children. They live in England and they both love each other. I know both of them very well. Whenever I go there, I visit them. So it's like, this actually happened in our family. So I said, you would never hear this in Christian families, but this happened in our families. And this happens all the time in our families. This is nothing new. It's not like, oh, this is something out of the ordinary. I said, why do we do this? Because we don't want to lose our inheritance. Because we don't want to lose our properties, our houses, our buildings, our land. Because, a family builds their lands over a generation, 40 years maybe. It takes them to build houses and lands. And they don't want to lose it to some stranger who can come along and from outside the family and sell everything and leave, or divorce the woman and go. So it doesn't happen. So therefore I said it doesn't happen like that, and that's that. So the Torah makes it clear that yes, you're allowed to marry an additional woman, but the Torah also makes it clear that there are parameters around this. The Torah speaks about parameters, and I think people forget the parameters. And what they do, they just jump to the conclusion that yes, I can have another wife, but they forget all the parameters. It was maybe about 10 years ago, when I first wrote the book, Patriarchal Marriage, somebody came to me and said, this lady, called me from, I was in England, and this lady called me from California, and she said she was married with a man who had 2 wives, and she was really upset because he wasn't treating her right. And she was like, well, he doesn't provide for my food, he doesn't provide for my clothing, and how can he be marrying another woman? He now wants to marry another woman, but he does not provide for me. So I was like, she's like, well, is he right to do this? is this according to God's law? And I said, no. According to God's law, he cannot do this. It's not permitted. So I said, because he has to provide for you first, and if he really had income, if he had money, and he wanted to then get an additional wife, for whatever reason, I don't know, could be a million reasons, I don't have to go into his reasons, but if he said to you, hey honey, here is your house, here is your car, here is everything you need, but I'm going to get an additional wife because of, I don't know, XYZ, then yes, then he may be able to do that. But in your present circumstances, I just don't see this possible. I don't see how it could do that. And I wouldn't be the first one to say, yes, go ahead, do that. I said, I would not be the rabbi standing in that marriage. Let's just put it this way. I will not be marrying that person to an additional wife. No way. So, and that's basically that, So I refused to stand in people. People came to me, hey, Rabbi, can you marry me to a second woman? I was like, no. How's your first wife? Is she willing to do this? Is she happy for you to do this? Is she, giving you permission? Although you don't need permission, but, I just asked the question, does she give you permission to do it? He's like, no, and there was one, actually, let me tell you, there was one couple. There was a man about 7-8 years ago. This man and woman, they're no longer with us. There was this man who was with this woman for about maybe, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years maybe. This was his first wife. Probably a real good woman to him. Bore him a couple of children. And then he finds this young girl, this young whippersnapper comes along from somewhere else, and she wants to marry him. This is going to be his second wife, by the way. So he comes to me, Rabbi, I'm going to marry this second woman. So I say to him, that's the only marriage, by the way, I performed. That's the only plural marriage I performed. I said to him, let me ask you a question. Is your first wife, willing to do this? Is she happy for you to do this? He's like, yes. I said, I need to speak to her first. So I found this girl in somewhere in America, on the East Coast. I speak to her and I say to her that, your husband has come to me and said he wants to marry such and such woman. I actually discouraged him. I said, no, you shouldn't marry this woman, because this woman's going to ruin your house. And he's like, but Rabbi, how can you say that? I said, well, let's just say that I'm in the know. Let's just say that. Let's just say I'm in the know and I know more than you. Let's just for the argument's sake. But if you still insist, I need your wife's permission before I even go ahead to do anything. He's like, okay, I want both of my wives to be married to me with the ketubah. I said to him, not a good idea for you to marry the second woman. I'm again telling you, not a good idea. He's like insisted, no Rabbi, I know what I'm doing. You have to marry me with this woman because my wife is giving me permission. You remember that case, Kefa? Yes. Well, remember that woman from Maryland? She was from Maryland, the second wife. So I keep saying to this man, right, no, it's not going to work out anyway. I speak to the woman and I said to the woman, the first woman, I never spoke to the second woman, by the way. I spoke to only the first woman, the wife, and I said to her, your husband is saying this. What are you saying? She said, look, my husband is saying he wants to marry her. I said, your husband's a trucker. He used to drive a truck. I said, this woman is in a second state. How are you going to both live in two separate states? What's he going to do? Spend time in Maryland and spend time with you wherever you're living? She's like, yeah, and then eventually we will get together. I said, are you absolutely sure that you want to do this? And the first woman said, yes, it's my husband's desire and I'm okay with it for him to have her as his Torah wife. I said, well, I'm going to say this. This is not going to work out, but because you're insisting that it should be done, I will do it. So I did go ahead and marry them. 1 week I did the marriage of the first woman. 2nd week I did the ketubah of the second woman. And guess what happened? 3 weeks later, only 3 weeks later, the man writes to me and says, he says, I got problems. This second woman don't want me to be with the first woman. She wants me to leave her and I don't know what to do now. So I said to him, here we go again. So I said, remember what I told you, that you should not marry this woman. I did warn you not to marry this woman. She's going to create disaster for you. And he's like, well, Rabbi, I don't know now what to do because If I divorce my first wife, I lose my children. If I divorce my second wife, then of course, she has no children with me, and maybe I just go back to the first. So I said to him, look, I'm not gonna come into your drama and games and the games that you both are, three of you are playing. I said, you best sit down together, and all three of you decide what you want to do. Once you decide what you want to do, then you can come back to me and tell me what is it you decided to do, because this is not a Torah game where you might marry 1 week and 2 weeks later you want to get a divorce. So, and I never heard from that man again. That was that. And he's no longer with us either. He's gone. So this is my point, right? That this is my point, that I just don't do it. I don't do it any longer. I refuse to do it now because I already seen this disaster happen once. And because of this disaster happening once, I don't put people into that situation. And so I refuse to do it, basically. I said, you know what, because you're not stable enough, I'm not going to do it. And so this is my point, right, is that if people cannot keep one wife happy, how can they keep 2 wives or 3 wives happy? So the best idea in today's age is that, if you can keep one happy, that's great. And there may be circumstances where you want to have children. Maybe your wife can't have children, or maybe there's another circumstance, maybe there's a disability issue or some other issue. And yes, there are many circumstances. I'm not going to paint all the circumstances. There are circumstances for plural marriage, definitely is, but it varies from person to person. We as teachers have to look case by case. We don't just go around willy-nilly marrying everybody. So I even refuse to do that, because even the one marriage, I will only marry the couple if they are with us for at least 1 year plus. Then they can get a marriage through us. If not, me and Rabbi Kefa refuse to even do the marriage. We don't do it, because they do not, if they're not with you for a certain period of time, then what Torah knowledge do they have of how to keep their single wife with them? And usually 9 times out of 10, they really have no clue about Torah, what it says about a relationship, family, how to keep the family, and so on and so forth. It becomes complicated, so I just leave it alone. So that's basically in a marriage front. But you see, again, you will find different cases, different scenarios, and yes, because today I think women in the West definitely don't want plural marriage. That's de facto mostly the standard here. And women in the East, they all want plural marriage. They don't care about plural marriage. Some of them, it's basically a mixed batch. In the East, they want to have 80% of the women want to have plural marriage. In the West, 80% don't want it. In fact, 90% don't want it in the West. And there's probably very few who do. But in the East, if I go to the Northwest frontier, 90% of women want plural marriage over there, because that's an Israelite state, by the way. That's where most of the Israelites are. And I know over there people who are married to 3 wives, 4 wives, very common. In the Northwest frontier of Pakistan, it's very common for a man to be married to 3 wives or 4 wives, and they got dozen children at least, maybe 15 children, maybe 20 children. I have personally witnessed these men married to more than 1 wife with several children. And by the way, very happy marriages. Absolutely shocking. I was shocked when I looked at it. I was like, wow, shocking that these people have 3 wives and they're all very happy. Very, very submissive wives and very, very happy. I was like, you know what? This is the only place on planet Earth where this could happen. Pakistan. I was like, can't happen anywhere else, because nowhere else I see women like that. So it's like, this just cannot happen anywhere else. Not even in America, not in England, nowhere else. Not even in Israel it can happen like that. I was like, this is absolutely amazing that these women are so demure that they listen to their husbands, and they're greatly respected, by the way, and they love their children. They're all running all over the place. Anyway, it was a good sight to see for me. I kind of fell in love with the place, I fell in love with the Northwest frontier. It's the most dangerous place in the earth, apparently. Apparently, one of our American generals General Mattis, I believe. He said that Pakistan is the most dangerous place on the earth. But he probably made a little mistake. He should have said northwest frontier of Pakistan is the most dangerous place in the world. And I go and I thrive over there. I go over there and I love the place. I tell you, I'm just at home with the people. Beautiful place, beautiful people. I love it. I love the people. All 10 tribes are there, by the way. In fact, all 12 tribes are there, of different, different quantities. So I really get on with the people. I love the people, and I've got no problem with living in the most dangerous place in the world, where I'm going to go actually again. So having said that, family life over there is very serious. They take their family life so seriously that it's just amazing, to just see how it gets on. So having said that, when Cooney is saying that I was invited in a polygamous family and they all get along together, one wife was Christian and the other wife was Muslim, even if the husband passed away, I could probably believe that. And Cooney, there probably are communities like this. But having said that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you all have to be in a polygamous lifestyle. I think that if you can make, some of our members here, some of our family members don't even have one wife, let alone 2 wives, it's impossible. So they need to just get their one wife sorted out. I think that's probably where they are right now. If you can get your one wife sorted out, I think it's great. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, get on with your life and get on with it. So having said that, Torah is very clear that we have set parameters, we have set ways, and so on and so forth. Now, just to point out, coming back to the festivals, now I am the one who's going to keeping the 19th of September as my Feast of Trumpets. Now you may decide to keep the lunar calendar, which is on the September 30th, which is lunar, and mine is the solar Enoch calendar. For me, Yom Kippur is 27-28, and for others, and it's a 25-hour fast according to the Torah or calendar. And then you may decide to do it on the lunar calendar. Again, if you go lunar calendar, is October 8 and October 9, and Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles, is October 14 if you use the lunar calendar. But for us, me, Rabbi Kefa, probably the rabbis, I think most of us are going to do the October 3 Tabernacles because we keep the solar calendar. So that's basically where we are. And having said that, really this Parsha's teze is more or less speaking about a family situation of, a wife, single wife, war situation. What happens if you have more than one wife, how you to treat the family. Then it starts talking about, if things, your belongings that you own, like an ox or a sheep, go astray, what are you supposed to do, and how are you supposed to, are you supposed to help your brother or sister, etc., to bring that ox and sheep back? What happens if it's the Sabbath? And it also talks about people who want to do, I don't know, the Bible uses the term crushed testicles. Really it means somebody who has castrated themselves. The Bible does not permit such details. It doesn't permit castration for animals. It doesn't permit castration for humans. It's not allowed according to the Torah. And it also speaks about a woman who is a virgin, who's been basically what we call a date rape in the West. It speaks about date rape and what happens when that happens. There's a lot of little lore details which I think are not always relevant to us, but they can be at times. And so therefore we don't really go into them so much unless we have a situation as such. It also speaks about in the book of Deuteronomy chapters 23, it speaks about a female prostitute or the wages of a dog. It wasn't permitted for a woman, an Israelite woman or another woman, to prostitute in a temple and then to bring that money into the temple of Yahweh. It wasn't permitted. So it spoke about that and said, don't allow this. Don't allow other things that happen near the temple. Vice basically. Any kind of vice wasn't permitted. Money wasn't permitted to be brought in. Nowadays, you can commit all sorts of vice. You can sell drugs. You can prostitute, women. You can do all sorts of things in this world today. And you can say you can make money from brothels. and then you can bring a $2 million donation to the Republicans or Democrats, and it's perfectly fine. In this world it's perfectly fine to do that. But in the biblical world, it was not permitted to be in vice and to bring that money into the temple of God. So that's just by the by. Now we'll come back to other things that we've been kind of witnessing and speaking with. Now here is something that I wanted to speak about on a practical note, apart from the what the Torah says, is that I spoke about this last week as well, and I'll speak about this again this week. The Torah says in the book of Deuteronomy, chapters 11, verse 24, it says, "Wherever your feet shall tread shall be yours." In other words, our feet is our imagination. Wherever our imagination goes, we can have that place, that thing. So it could be an object, a car, it could be a relationship, a wife, it could be something else. So the Bible is very clear. By the way, this is not a New Testament teaching. This actually is a Old Testament teaching, or a Torah teaching, that we are permitted to dream. Dream meaning we can imagine, and we can imagine to have something where our feet will go. Feet in the imagination will go, and we can say, hey, I want to have that car, or I want to have that house to live in. Yep, claim it, imagine it, receive it. That's what the Torah actually tells us. We can do that. So now let me come back to the practicality of this. The practicality is this. I have spoken about this subject for at least maybe just under a year, and the problem is this, that a lot of you out there don't even know how to write your affirmations. So in spite of the fact that I've probably regurgitated this information, I wouldn't say a million times, of course not been a million times, but at least I've regurgitated this information at least in the previous 16 or 18 lectures, but you still don't know how to write your affirmations, and that's where most people are failing today. So this is why I said last week, I may have said it, and the week before, that if you are having difficulty writing an affirmation, then you should come to me for that, so I can correct you, because a lot of you out there, I don't care how many times you listen to me, you're writing your affirmations wrong, and you're not getting what you want, and nothing is changing for you. Why? Because your affirmation is wrong. Now, if you fix your affirmation, then you fix your world. This is where I come in. I help you to fix your affirmation, and I help you to fix your world. Another technique that I teach you, and I've spoken about this probably since last year, and the year before that I spoke about this, was loving yourself. And I said it in different lectures, that if you cannot love yourself, you cannot love anybody else. And don't tell me that you love God, because you're probably the biggest hypocrite who cannot love himself, cannot love God either. And forget about you loving the Kohen, because there's no love for anybody. If you can't love yourself, you can't love no one. So hence why the first thing that you need to practice is self-love. When you practice self-love, and self-love comes in different varieties and forms. Self-love could be that you go to the pizza store and you say, hey, today I'm going to treat myself with a pizza because I love myself. So you go, you get yourself a pizza. Or you might go to McDonald's and say, today I'm going to treat myself with a hamburger because I love myself. Or you might say, I'm going to buy myself an ice cream from Dairy Queen. Any along those lines, you have to show love to yourself. And when you go look at your mirror in the first thing in the morning and you see your face, and a lot of the people, what they tend to do is they will, yes, Daniel, the book I would recommend is the Indian guy, Rabbi. Rabbi wrote a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. That's the book, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It, Rabbi Kant, Ravikant. It's a very small book, really good. Basically, a summary of that book, I can sum it up for you in one sentence. He said, look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself daily. That's the sum of the book, basically. Look in the mirror every day, and he said, time yourself. He said, time yourself for 3 minutes and tell yourself you love yourself. That's it. That's the sum total of the book. He said, if you can do that, then you can change your world. In other words, you must learn to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, then how can you love anybody else? The same thing that I've been repeating for years and years is kind of like, saying doing it this way. I agree with him. I agree that you have to love yourself first. And it's a good idea that you can do it in front of the mirror. It's called mirror work. Because a lot of you look in the mirror in the morning and you say, oh, look at my life. Look at me, miserable, face, dropped on the floor, with Joe on the floor. You got a, ugly looking face. Not ugly looking because God made you ugly, but because you made yourself ugly by having this, this sadness on your face, like, it's the end of the world. And so that clearly shows you do not love yourself. So when you look in the mirror, as I've said it in the past, first thing you do, you say, hey, beautiful, how you doing? Hey, handsome, how you doing today? You're looking great today. You need to say that to yourself, to the mirror, because you are looking at your inner self. And then you can tell yourself, I love you, or you can say, I love myself. So whatever you formulate is what you will be. So you want me to write the title of the book? Love yourself like your life depends on it. So this, love yourself like your life depends on it. It's in Amazon and you can purchase it. It's by Rabbi. Okay, that's the name. So my point is this, that that teaching, is very simple, nothing hard, and all it basically sum totals to that you got to look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself. That's all. It's simple. There's nothing hard about it, and your world will change when it sinks in. When it sinks in into your subconscious that you are lovable, that you can love yourself, that you do love yourself, your world will start to change dramatically. And I completely agree with that. Because years ago, let me tell you something. Years ago, Daniel's put out a link you can have a look at. This is not a new book. I think it's fairly old, maybe I don't know, 10, 15 years old maybe. So having said that, years ago, I used to look in the mirror back in England. I had a few mirrors there in my wardrobe, in my living room as well, and or bedroom rather, and living room as well. Sorry, yeah. And I used to tell myself that I'm going to be something someday, and I'm going to be someone somewhere. And this was long before I got into my $100,000 salary. And I used to tell myself that one day you're going to be somebody, Simon. You're going to be somebody one day, and you don't worry about what other people are saying. And I was somebody someday. I was. So I was somebody someday. So my point is, I told myself that first before I told anybody else. So I didn't have to go around telling everybody, hey, I'm going to be on 100,000, I'm going to be on 100. No, I didn't need to do that. I just told myself that I am capable, I can do it, and I will be there. And that was the only point I needed to make. So having said that, you can do the same. If you aspire to something, if you want to be an engineer, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a top lawyer, you want to be, working in the White House, whatever, whatever your desire and dream, you tell yourself that. And you tell yourself that in your mirror, and you convince yourself. If you can convince yourself, then it can come to you. And then you don't need to convince anybody else, because circumstances will be made, bridge of incidences will be created for you, that you will have what you want. There are at least, let me tell you in passing today something. In passing, I'm not gonna clarify what and why, because I don't need to. There's too many jealous people around this world. So there's no need to be clarification for everything we do in our life. Two things I want you to protect in your life: your relationship and your finances. These are the two things you must protect in your life. Because if you don't, then everybody will be laughing at you. You cannot go around telling everybody your relationship, and you cannot go around telling everybody your finances. These are the two things you must protect. And of course your family. You must protect your family. Now there are at least two things on my board, and I'm pretty sure they're still there. There are two things on my vision board that have come to pass recently. they have manifested. And I don't need to name names or places, but all I can tell you is one of those items, actually, I had totally forgot about. It was like 3 months ago, I totally forgot about it, and I stopped even thinking about it. I was reading a particular affirmation I created back in October-November time, and I was reading that affirmation. Actually, I was sitting in Pakistan when I created the affirmation. So I was reading that affirmation. I came over here. I read it for another 3 months. Then after that, I kind of like, left it behind my imagination. I did my little imagination on it, and then I just left it. I was like, that's it. Kind of forgot about it. I totally, detached myself from that. I detached so much that I completely forgot about it altogether. And then 3 months later, boom, boom, boom. 3-4 different events took place, and before I know it, that thing is manifested. And I was like, but I don't even think about this any longer. But I stopped thinking about this 3 months ago. So then that kind of gave me a moment to pause and think. See, I keep saying to people to detach yourself from your so-called things that you want. In other words, you've got to give yourself a period of detachment. If you do not give yourself a period of detachment, the universe needs time to work something. The universe can only work something if you give it time. If you don't give it time, if you keep on, you cannot keep planting the same seed over and over and over again. When we plant our tomato seed, we don't go plant it 10 times. We plant it once. So when you plant your seed is what you desire and what you want. When you have planted your seed and you dwell on it for the next, let's say a week. You dwell on it for a week. You imagine it every day for 1 week. Now, by 1 week, hopefully, you are satisfied that this seed is well planted and well watered. Now what you can do is let go of it and stop dwelling on it. In other words, you need to give yourself time to say, you know what, I planted the seed. I'm happy that it's taking effect. I don't know when it will come to pass, but I will let go of it for the next 10-15 days. And I won't even think about it, so I can focus on something else. And then you let go of that altogether for the 10-15 days, and you can then gauge the situation after 10-15 days and say, well, where am I with this now? Has this happened or not? Yes, it's happened. Okay, cross it off, put it into your completed list journal, and then you're done. Or you can say, no, this has not yet happened. Okay, let me do another visualization session for the next, another 5 days maybe. You do another visualization for another 5 days, then let go again for another 10 days. So this is how you need to work. And if you work like this, you'll find that you'll get success more often. Because you cannot be on the same thing over and over again. However, somebody asked me, what about the scripting? I said, what about the scripting? I said, I write my script, but when I detach myself, then what I do is I also detach from the script as well, by the way. I detach completely. And so I stopped writing about it, but what I do is, let's say if I had a top 10 goals or 15 goals, like one-liners. I just write 15 one-liners and say, these are my 15 things. Then what I do, I read them out loud to myself 3 to 5 times every day. I do that 3 to 5 times every day before I detach myself. And then I also have a card, and my card is maybe my top 7 goals, maybe 8 goals or whatever, and I put it on my card on my desk, and I read that card every 4 hours. I got a task on my phone. Every 4 hours it goes up, bling, 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 and I got to read that. And then I face in my success direction, and I read it out loud, by the way. And if you don't read it out loud because there's people around you, you can read it. You can whisper, like Hannah, who went to the temple, who went to the tabernacle, and she was whispering for her son to be born, the prophet Samuel, by the way. So whispering is good, out loud is good as well. And if there's too many people around you, you can imagine speaking it. You can also imagine speaking it, and you can speak as loud as you want in your imagination, and it will still work, by the way. So both of those are possible. Now, let me tell you a story. This is a true story, by the way. Somebody got engaged somewhere in the East, and I don't know, they had the engagement ring somewhere on the, I don't know where it was, maybe on the bed, maybe on the drawer, wherever it was. And so somebody stole their engagement ring. Pure gold ring, 22 karat gold ring was stolen. It was worth a fair bit of value. It was maybe worth about $400-500. Anyway, so they came to me and said to me that their ring had been stolen. And they asked me who stole the ring. So I'm like, okay. So that reminded me of the time that Joshua had to forecast who who hid the gold. When the gold was hid, Joshua had to call the temple priests, and Torah doesn't tell you this detail, but he did call the temple priests and said who's stolen the gold. We were defeated by our enemies because somebody has done a perversion. They have stolen something from the enemy and hid it, and God doesn't tell me what it is. You're going to have to find out. So then the priesthood went to work and established who stole what and where it is. And so Joshua was able to nail down that guy who stole that piece of gold and the cloth that he really liked. And so that was I guess the crime of the Israelite that was holding them back. So my point, so this family came to me and said to me, somebody stole the ring and we don't know who did it because we had family members over there and blah blah blah. So I said, okay, let me inquire from the heavens who did your stealing. Anyway, so I took the information and I said, let me get back to you tomorrow. Let me get back to you tomorrow on this, because I need to make an inquiry to the heavens who did what. So I made an inquiry to the heavens, and I came back and I said, yes, I know who stole your gold ring, and I don't know that family from jack squat. I don't know who they are. So I said to them, okay, here is the situation. I said it was a family member from your father's side who stole the ring, and I said it was your auntie's daughter. Your auntie's daughter. Your auntie has an elder daughter, and I don't need to know how many younger daughters. Of course, there's at least 2 daughters in the family. I said they have an elder daughter, and they of course have a younger daughter. And I said the elder daughter was present in the marriage. She is the one that stole the ring. I nailed it right down to the person who stole the ring, and I asked a question to the person. I said, does your auntie, father's side by the way, I said, does your father's side, paternal auntie, have an elder daughter? And she acknowledged. She said, yes, there is an elder daughter there. So I said, that's it then. There's your culprit. I said, you got 2 choices now to wait. What do you want? I said, what do you want? Do you want a confession, or do you want to name the culprit? So of course, these people are humble. They don't want to accuse them outright of theft, because these are the people who stolen. So I said, well, the best thing to do is wait. A confession is coming as well. So having said that, the confession will come now within the next 2 months, by the way, because I already know the timeline as well. So my point is this. Now let me tell you something about PDF free books. I want to give you a little warning. I think it's important for me to say that to you, because a lot of you like getting free books on the internet, and that is, by the way, theft. Okay? When you pick up a book free from the internet and you don't pay for it, that is qualified as theft. Now, you might say, hey, it was on somebody's website, it was free, and unless the author is giving it away free, if the author is not giving it away free and is got it on sale on Amazon, then that would be qualified as theft. We are not allowed to steal, by the way. So I would highly discourage you downloading free book of somebody who has it on sale on Amazon. It is better to pay $4 and to get a book that is paid for than to take something free and steal it. Okay? You know what's going to be the downside of that? You're going to pay for it. If you steal somebody's book, the benefit's going to be negligible. So beware of that. So Please don't ever do that again. I'm going to tell you the one and the last time. I've never said this before, but the one and the last time. If I want to give somebody my free Bible, I have Bibles and I have books all over the shop. If I want to give somebody free Bible, I send it to them PDF free myself. I don't say to them, hey, go to the Amazon and pay, $50 and buy it. I usually send it to them free. Do not go stealing other people's material, because when Kuni, thank you, karma will visit you. If you keep doing that, karma will visit you and destroy your life. Then you'll be wondering, what did I do wrong? How about you stole somebody's material and were dishing it out free of charge, like you're the author? Don't ever do that again. Be mindful of what you're doing. Don't be stupid going around giving other people's material away free. So this is my, one and only time to you. Be careful of doing that. If the author gives it away free, Baruch Hashem, Yahweh for that. Let him give it free. But if the author does not, then you're not supposed to dish it out free, because people are doing that all over the internet these days. They steal somebody's work, they upload it, and then they dish it out free like it's their own work. Please don't do that. It is theft. Theft is not permitted in the Torah, even if it's of a Gentile. So, having said that, let's move on. So, having said that, as I said, that it's very important that we get ourselves straight, and this is why I say that if you are having difficulty in writing your affirmations, then please write to me an email, and then I can help you do that. Now, I'm going to be going away in the next week or so, so please don't try to send me SMS messages and on my telephone after next week, after next Shabbat. Don't do that, because I will not be answering any SMS after next Shabbat. Probably be the last time that I can answer SMS whilst I'm in the US. Once I depart from the US soil, I will have no access to my US telephone number, and I will not be able to see any of your SMSs or phone messages. So you'll have to contact me through email, and if you are fortunate enough to have my WhatsApp ID, then maybe you can WhatsApp it to me, and I'll be able to pick that up, provided I get that sorted out over there when I get there. But in the meantime, email is a tool of choice, and you can write me an email, and that'll be fine. Now also, alongside that, and Rabbi Kefa, you may want to emphasize this, that you may want to dish out the address again. Rabbi Kefa did instruct everybody that last week our address, about a week ago, fortnight ago, our address changed. Our snail mail address is no longer the address that we were on previously. That has changed, by the way. I would encourage you highly, hopefully, and again, don't pin me on it, I think that Forever Israel website has a new address, and so does the Abrahamic Faith. African Israel also has a new address, but I think Wandering Israel might still be holding the old address. So get the new address, and the new address has a Bandera Road reference in it. If it says Bandera Road, then that is a new address, and if it says something other than Bandera Road, then that is the old address. So please be warned that if you do send things in to Rabbi Kefa, I don't know, sometimes people send in books and stuff and other materials, then be forewarned that the Bandera Road address is the correct address to have, and the other address is no longer valid. And if you send material to the other address, then they may get returned to you as undelivered. So by the way, that's that. And I do have another web address called Simod Enterprises. That's primarily where I have books for sale, all sorts of titles. Alongside, I had an opportunity to put my Bibles on sale there, so I put it on sale there. So if you want to look at Bibles and things, Sidurs, you can go to simolenterprises.com, and you'll find the Bibles on sale there and Siddur. But I will highly, highly encourage you, and I say this again, the Siddur was not written to be put to dust and put to the shelf and never use it. The Siddur is absolutely critical book for us to have. It is imperative for us to use daily in our prayers, in our things that we do, in the gratitude that we give to God. It's absolutely important. Do not discard it. Do not just put it to one side and say, hey, that's it, I don't need it any longer now. You need it. You need it every day of your life. So keep the Siddur with you wherever you go, because it's going to be your lifesaver, and it's going to be your gratitude journal. And that book has got so fantastic prayers in it that will help you to, achieve success as well. Yeah, it's got some fantastic stuff in there. So I carry that book with me wherever I go. In fact, I'm packing my Siddur and my Bible with me, my personal copies, as I travel. So I highly encourage you to don't put the Siddur to one side and forget about it. Always have a Siddur handy. When you sit on the meals, you must do your pre-meal prayers and post-meal prayers. So the post-meal prayers, as you know, is a Birkat HaMazon, and the pre-meal prayers are the short blessings that you see also Jesus of Nazareth doing with the disciples, where he breaks bread and he does a prayer, and then he gives thanks to God. These are the prayers that you should be doing as well. As a custom and tradition, it should be done. Now, if you forget, that's another matter, but you should be doing it as a matter of principle. Thank you for that, Rabbi Kefa. Forever Israel, Rabbi Lamont Clovis, 8407 Bandera Road, that's Bandera Road, Suite 103-152, San Antonio, Texas, and the zip code is 78250. Now, I'm pretty certain that I've made myself absolutely clear now of what you need to do to be on the road to success. So please, if you're not sure, you have access to my email and Rabbi Kefa's email as well. And Rabbi Kefa, you can give your personal email if you desire, the kefabinya@yahoo.com, and that'll be perfectly fine. You can write to Rabbi Kefa as well, no problem. Because I don't really check the secondary address. I don't really check the Forever Israel address much. So I think maybe best keep it to first personal emails. Simha is saying, exactly where is the solar plexus? I found different locations stated for the chakras to da. The solar plexus area is directly where the ribs intersect, where the rib cage, just below the rib cage. That little spot there is just below the rib cage is the solar plexus. I'm pretty sure if you ask your friend to punch you there, you'll be winded and you'll know exactly where the solar plexus is. That's an area that we trained to hit people in a strike, to bring them down. So that's a very weak area. And in Taekwondo classes, we used to strengthen the area by putting, like we used to hit that area with our palm or with our fingers to strengthen that area. So that's a really very weak area of the body, solar plexus. And if you punch over there, you definitely know you've been hit because you'll be on the floor. That's the solar plexus. So okay, but directly below the ribs. Okay, with that in mind, I'd like to thank you for listening to myself, and have a great week ahead. Have a great Shabbat. Have a great time today, and with your families. And over to you, Rabbi Kefa. Todah, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom Shalom.
Todah Rabbi if I can be heard, can I get a one mishpachah? Rabbi Kefa coming in from home base here in San Antonio, Texas. Thank you to the universes, to the God of Israel, for dispersing me in such a wonderful city. Such a wonderful place. And I know all of you are partial to where you're at as well. And if you're not, then that's probably a sign that you need to relocate to somewhere where you will be happy. You will be happy. Happiness is so important, right? And again, I think Hakohin has truly pressed in, and somebody mentioned it earlier as I was listening to the messages, that somebody mentioned that, this is like embedded in us because you taught it so much, and I think that's important. Anybody work their way, any Torah student, Torah scholar, whatever they want to call themselves, will understand that repetition is a very important part of the Hebrew way of life. Do you get that, Mishpah? In your readings of our books, do you not understand that, repetition is repeated over and over and over again? Things are repeated over and over and over again. The question you ask yourself is why? Why are these things repeated over and over and over again? So that they can be embedded in the foundation of your very subconscious. That's what's important. Mirror time, that's so important. You know, man in the mirror time, I think that's vital. Because again, if you don't deal with self, you cannot deal with anyone else. You cannot deal with anything outside of yourself. I have been I have a lot of experience in the area of dealing with areas outside of myself. I spent many years, I don't know how many of you can empathize with me, along with empathize with me, years of experience of my life, you know, dealing with other people's situations and not my own. I just recently, within the last couple of years, began to truly gain an understanding on how that the importance and relevance of dealing with myself first. Putting self first. Yes, mishpacha, actually being selfish. Because I got to the point, you know, and I've been conditioned so many years of my life that I must die to myself. How many of you know what I'm talking about? I've been conditioned under that theology for a very, very long time. That I must die to myself and do everything for others and look at others and deny myself. And that is truly a fallacy. That is truly a fallacy. Quickest way not to be happy, not to meet your mark, is to deny yourself. You need to cling to yourself, love yourself, be happy with yourself, and within the confines of yourself. If you want to go get your hair done, go get your hair done. If that's going to make you happy, go get your hair done. Eating that Big Mac going to make you happy, go get that Big Mac. 5-piece from Popeye is going to make you happy, extra spicy, go get it happy. Go get that 5-piece. I know Popeyes has that what? Everybody down here in San Antonio is trying to get their hands on the Popeyes chicken sandwich. That thing has been like... that chicken sandwich is like so popular here that it's like you can't get it anywhere. So everybody's talking about the chicken. If that chicken sandwich makes you happy, then go hunt down the Popeyes chicken sandwich and eat it. The premise of what I'm saying here at the end of the day is this. Find out what makes you happy and be happy within yourself. Don't try to make everybody else happy. You're going to miss your mark trying to make everybody else happy. Are you understanding, Mishpah? I hope I'm coming in crystal clear. Because this is vital. This is the foundation to you actually changing your life. I mean, it really is. It's vital. And I say that with all happiness and all humbleness to you, Mishpah, this day. Is that you must find this happiness within yourself. And if you truly can't find it, and it's okay, don't be shy. If you cannot find this, and you're having difficulty, because it may be hard to bust through those walls that have been built up for so many years. This is why you come to the Kohen. I mean, he's giving you his email, even though he may be traveling to the most disconnected parts of the world when it comes to internet connectivity. An email, he's just still an email away. Anywhere on this earth, he's still just an email away, where he can guide and assist you. Anyone work their way, they call themselves any kind of lawyer or teacher or judge, you'll understand that each case is based on a case-by-case basis. And unless you go to the judge on a case-by-case basis, then truly, from the way I see it, that your case cannot be solved, it cannot be remedied, unless you deal with your case on a case-by-case basis. You understand what I'm saying? So for all of you, you should all be going to the Kohen. We should all be going to the Kohen. Literally, you should all, because your case is unique. You're unique. You're a unique human being. And your case is unique than the next man's case, and the next man's case, and the next man's case. You understand what I'm saying? It's very, very important that you do have that. I talked about this last Shabbat. That one-on-one time with the Kohen. It's very, very important. Because you're unique, family. You're unique. Isn't that beautiful that you're unique? You don't have to be. You're beautiful in your own way. You're beautiful. The next person next to you is beautiful. The next person to the next person is beautiful in their own way. God is beautiful. Beautiful, being beautiful is beautiful. It's just awesome and amazing. Because all of you bring so much to the table for the family. But it all starts from within yourself. Pleasing the family is pleasing yourself. Pleasing God is pleasing yourself. And by the way, I don't know if you want me to put you back on for a minute, But I know you did want to talk about that phrase you had made, someone saying something about trying to find God. You know, I think it was dealing with your joke of the day. You're trying to find God, but they end up, they're trying to find God, but they didn't realize that they were trying to please themselves or something like that. You said you were going to kind of elaborate on that. I don't know if you want to do it now or you can do it later when I finish my lecture. It's up to you. But I think that's important to understand. Everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody around me that I know of is still trying to search for God in themselves, and outside of themselves, instead of looking for God within themselves. And then that's when they'll truly find God. You'll truly find God, and you'll make God happy by you being happy, by your desires being met. This is why repetitive is key when it comes to the foundation, the building blocks of humanity, and really how to have a happy life, how to have a joyous life, how to have a peaceful life. Because I know that's inbred and embedded within all of you, human beings. You don't even have to be in this room. You can be passing through, listening via YouTube. But I know at the end of the day, you want to be happy, you want to be at peace, and you want to be full of love. I don't care if you have a religious affiliation or if you don't have a religious affiliation. But I can guarantee you, if you're taking in breath and you're breathing out, you're taking in oxygen and you're breathing out carbon dioxide, I can guarantee you that's what you want. Guarantee you. So this is not about a religion. If you hear from YouTube and you're listening in, this is not a religion. It truly is based on a way of life. How are you going to live your life? And that's relative. And you have control over that. As much as you think this day that you have no control, quit telling yourself you don't have no control. You have complete control this day. You have complete control. Did anybody read the message up here on the top of the Power Talk room? You read what I call he wrote in there? I think that's quite pivotal. And call yourself in the words of Jesus Yeshua. What did he write right there on the top? Did anybody read that on the top? He wrote something on top of that up there. Did anybody read it? Change your world. I caught that. That caught my eye. I was like, wow, that's a powerful statement. Change your world. You have the power, all of you in this room, to change your world. The power is within you. You just need proper tools, right? The power is within you to change your world. Life's not happy with where they are. It's because they need world changing. They need to change their world and bring forth and manifest a world and desires and attract things in their world that's going to make them happy. That's going to give them peace. Where they're going to find their joy. They're going to be able to love. So vital. So vital. So vital. Luxury Class says, I accidentally confused verses and misquoted Yeshua. I asked for forgiveness. Will I be forgiven? I switched a verse accidentally. Oh, indeed. Indeed, you will be forgiven. If you ask for forgiveness, truly you will be forgiven. Absolutely. But be mindful of this. Be mindful of this. Be mindful of this. Be mindful of this. Welcome, follow me home. Welcome, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Be mindful of this, Luxury Class. Don't sit upside, don't beat yourself upside of the head of saying you think it, but it's not sin. Okay? You got to be very careful of this. Be mindful of this. What is sin? Missing the mark. What mark did you miss in doing that? You understand what I'm saying? Because we've been conditioned for so long to run to sin. You see? You know what I mean? We run and we beat our own selves upside of the head as sinners. Sinner, sinner, chicken dinner. Sinner, sinner, chicken dinner. Sinner, sinner. And you don't have time to get on the other side of the bridge and say that I'm blessed, I'm whole, I'm complete. I, Luxury Class, am complete. I, Luxury Class, am whole. I, Luxury Class, am abundant. No, because you get the sinner, sinner, chicken dinner beat upside the head every day. Oh, I'm a sinner. Oh, I got to watch this. I could be sinning. You see, be mindful of that, Luxury Class. You're an awesome man, powerful man. You're a man of loyalty. You're a man of love. You're a man of faith. Stand on that. That's where you are. Yeah, good. Don't allow that to beat yourself up. Oh well, yeah. And then when you completed your repentance, then you forget about it and you move on. Right? You chalk this up as great experience and you move on. That's what you do. That's what you do. And you move on from it. Don't allow this. What I mean, look, I don't mean like you just literally beat yourself upside the head, but don't allow this to just fester. You see, because that little fire can turn into a forest fire if you allow it. Because you're focusing on the negative energy. You see, yeah, don't dwell on it. Absolutely not. You're a great man. We appreciate you here as part of the family. You're a great man. You're going to do awesome things. You're doing awesome things. You're doing awesome things in the present. You're doing awesome things. If you're here, you're definitely in the right place so you can grow and learn from the Kohen. So we can all grow and learn and continue to manifest the desires and attract the things that we want in our lives and this beautiful gift of life that we've been given on the face of this earth to do marvelous things. You understand what I'm saying? And again, I'd like for the rest of the family to welcome Follow Me Home. First time here, as text above, so please welcome Follow Me Home. You're more than welcome to come here. The doors are open. Follow me home. There's no agenda here but the Torah of Moses. And to meet the desires that we want in our lives, to be happy, to be whole, to be complete, to be at peace, to be at love with humanity. This is what it means by allowing our lights to shine in these beautiful nations that we're in. And as we look at our parsha, teze, I mean, this is such a great parsha. Because just like Kohen alluded to, and I will do the same, is that this parsha, and that's why I titled this lecture, relationship based. Now, right now, yesterday with my family, Chinese family side of my family, we celebrated Mid-Autumn Festival, a great celebration that we had with my family last night. We ate mooncake. Anybody know about the Mid-Autumn Festival? If Shane Yah in the room, he knows about it. He probably celebrated last night with his family as well. But the Chinese have this festival called the Mid-Autumn Festival. It took place last night. You may have heard it called the Moon Festival or the Mooncake Festival. But this is a beautiful festival. I would encourage you all to look it up on YouTube and look at the customs and traditions of the Chinese and what they do. But at the end of the day, this festival, what I got out of the festival was that it's all about relationship and it's all about the family. Because this is a time when the family comes together. And we actually did come together last night, and we were sitting on the back garden, and we were looking at the moon, and we were eating mooncakes as a family. It's a time where family comes together, all about relationship. Now, there are many different stories behind the institution of the Moon Festival and why celebrate the Moon Festival. The Chinese have many different stories behind it, but I find that all of them are beautiful. They're beautiful. All beautiful. A.K.A. Daniel is saying, well, how's your son, Chief Kefa? I'm sure you're very excited, and we're always happy for you, sir. Oh, indeed, Nakshan is doing very well. Still in the womb as we speak, but his time in the womb will be short. Thank you to the universe. So yes, I am super happy. I'm on cloud 9 for sure. I'm above the heavens. I'm somewhere out there in the universes, and just truly humbled and happy about the experiences of life and the relevance that we play in life, and I truly have a higher appreciation for life. And I definitely have a most highest respect for all women. I tell you, you women are super strong. You women are my heroes. Because, at the end of the day, I will say this. And we have never been women bashers. I'm gonna get that in a minute in our Torah, in our relationship section. We have never been women bashers here. Never have we been women bashers. We've always respected and lifted up women here. Under the feet, under the tonic of the Kohen. That has always been our mandate here, is to raise up women, not to tear them down. Because if you're listening via YouTube, you can go to many other places that are so-called under the umbrella of Judaism or under the umbrella of Hebrew Israelite, blah, 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 Jew, you know, this, that, the other, and the third. They run down their wives, disrespect them, treat them like second-class youth. That is not Torah mandated whatsoever. Not Torah mandated whatsoever. Follow me home, say, may I ask this group, it keeps the Shabbat, what about the feast days? Yes, we keep those as well. Follow me home. We have a great book that you should get. It's penned by the Kohen, Simon Altef, my Kohen. It's called The Feast of Yahweh. You can get it on Amazon. Get that book. It will really help you understand the relevance of our and the practicalities of keeping the festivals in 2019 going forward. Very, very important that you get that book. It'll help you understand. Truly help you understand. Do what you can do while we're in these great nations, these shepherd nations that we've been dispersed in. Do what you can do, and do the best that you can do. You see? So I think it's very, very important. Very, very important that we do that. Very, very important. You see, because what you're going to learn at the feet of the Kohen, the son of Aaron, by the way, who are the teachers of Israel, is you're going to learn the practicalities. You're going to understand, because Judaism will leave you hoodwinked and bamboozled, and they'll shackle you under the confines of our festivals. Some of these Hebrew Israelite groups will tell you don't even keep the festivals. They have no relevance because we have no temples. And so you hear all these kind of stories, but what you're going to learn at the feet of the Kohen is that the freedoms that we have with our festivals and the relevance and the relationship with our festivals, just like I'm talking about the Moon Festival that the Chinese have. Our festivals are just so related. They're all family-oriented. It's all about the family. They're relationship-based. That's what's important to understand. As human beings that walk the face of the earth, your core should be relationship-based. And just like you learned in our Kohen lecture, we talked about this. Is that the first, can anybody tell me, what's the first relationship that you should establish? Anybody tell me, what is the first relationship? Please do respond. There's no such wrong answer, and be shy. We're family here. We call ourselves Mishpachah, left, right, front, and center. So, what is the first relationship that should be established, in your opinion? Because at the end of the day, this is all your opinion. When Equal says the relationship with yourself. Any other takers? What is the first relationship that you should establish? There you go. The mission says loving yourself is the first relationship. Self, I tell you, you students are really clued up and keen to listen into the words of the Kohen. It's very wise. Wise indeed. This wisdom will take you far. So the first relationship that needs to be established is the relationship with yourself. And that relationship with yourself needs to be that one of positive relationship. You see? Most folks, from what I see and what I glean as listening into my co-workers, my contemporaries, is this. They have issues with their spouse because they don't love themselves. So they take out that love that they don't have for themselves, and it begins to permeate to everybody that's around them. Spouse being the closest one, because it's next to her. You understand what I'm saying? And then it begins to permeate to the children. And before you know it, you have a house of strife and a house of hate. And that's not the house of the most highest. Believe you me, that's not. Relationship-based. Relationship-based. When we look at all of our customs, let's look at this. Relationship-based. What I just discussed with you with the Chinese and their Mid-Autumn Festival or Moon Festival, this is a festival where the families come together. Families, they get together, they come together, they sit around the table together, they go out and look at the moon together. Everything is done together. Yet you may be conditioned and you're growing up that you need to segregate yourself, put yourself apart. No. We've been put in these nations to be a light. What does a light do? Hide up underneath the bed? No, it's going to burn the bed down, much less probably the whole house after that. You put the light in the closet, it'll burn all of your designer shoes and your designer suits and all this, that, and the other, and the third. No, a light is to be seen. Darkness can come to it. Light attracts. You don't believe me? Go outside in Louisiana, in the marshlands, in the middle of the night, and turn on your zippy lighter, or whatever kind of light that you do have. My goodness, every insect known to man. Last time I checked, being Louisiana and myself, the state bird in Louisiana is the mosquito. And so once you turn that light on, you're going to have everything around just focused on you, attracted to you, wanting to come to you. Bugs in San Antonio, the same place. Go out at night and try to turn on some light. This light attracts. It will draw in particular animals, but at the same time, light will run away creatures as well, as you know, right? The cockroach is very well known and used in very many experiments, even those dealing with the nuclear bomb. Did you know that the cockroach was tested in the nuclear bomb testing that was done there in Nevada back in the day? And the cockroach survived a nuclear blast, if you didn't know that. But anyway, the cockroach. You turn the light on and you have cockroach-infested home. What's the first thing that the cockroaches do once you turn the light on? They go and hide, and they try to seek darkness. I'm not here calling nobody a cockroach, so please don't get offended. Because I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just stating the case, giving an example. Is that some folks will run to light. Some folks and even insects are attracted to light, while other insects and some folks are not attracted to light. It's actually a negative to them, and they're drawn to the darkness. And that's what you're going to run into as students of human nature. You call yourself students of Torah, then you have to be students of human nature. Because at the ground roots level of the laws of Moses is what? Relationship-based. It's relationship-based. How many of you understand what does relationship-based mean to you? Any takers? What does relationship-based mean to you? Over here, we cannot see the stars because we're too close to Washington, D.C. Well, I guess everything lit up there, huh? Can you see the moon at night sometimes? Can you at least see the moon? Well, we saw the moon last night, and it was truly full. Full moon last night. We saw it. Beautiful. It was so beautiful. So beautiful. And there's so much tradition behind, the stories behind why this happened and why they celebrate the Moon Festival. I think it's really beautiful because at the end of the day, what I glean from that is it's all about a relationship. About a man loving a woman so much and a woman loving a man so much. I tell you, it's so beautiful. Beautiful stories that are behind it. But you must understand, and I want to give you, and I say this in all practicality, if there's going to be good in the world, there's also going to be evil. Understand that. That's the balance of life. You can have a perfect world having good and evil together. That is the perfect world. Because that's practicality. That's reality. But most folks, they use the stumbling block of their understanding of a perfect world, meaning everything has to go right. That's just not reality. That you have to live in this world, this utopia, to where everything in your life will go right. Has anybody reached that plateau yet? Because if you have, that's not the perfect world. That's not real. That's not realistic. That's just not real. So at the end of the day, you got to get real with yourself. If you can't get real with anybody else, in the process of you loving yourself, you really have to get real. You have to get real, and you have to get practical and understand in this life there is good and bad. And that's what makes this world perfect. That's what makes your heaven here perfect. Because believe it or not, how many of you will agree with me that you can have heaven here on this earth in the present? Does anybody agree with me on that? Or are you waiting for a heaven later on? What's your take? I want your take. Please tell me your opinion on this. How many of you, if you're waiting to get to heaven, say I'm waiting, Rabbi, or if you really understand and know within your subconscious, within your inner man, within your inner woman, and you can have heaven now, why are you going to wait for it? Most people are waiting on heaven. My heaven is now. But yet, look at the irony in this, and the hypocrisy. Most people will tell you right now that they're in hell. Think about that for a minute. As you study human nature, they'll sit there and tell you, man, this is hell. They'll sit there, well, if this is hell, I'm living on the opposite side of your perspective. I'm living in heaven now. You ever heard them, students of human nature, have you ever heard a person say this? This is living hell. Have you ever heard it? Anybody besides me? I mean, people say this. Oh, I'm in hell. I'm living in hell. I'm living in hell. Or they tell you, go to hell. I mean, come on. Have you ever heard? I mean, come on, man. But no, I don't want to live on that side of the prism. I'm on the total opposite side. You see, you have to be able to. That's the beauty of the perfection of life. Is that you have to take the good with the bad, and then you put them together. Then you have the perfection. You see, luxury class. So you can't step up and say, yeah, okay, I can see where I did a little error here, but it's not going to affect me making my mark. And I'm not going to let it make me miss my mark because of this little error that I made over here. I'm going to dust myself off and I'm going to keep going. How many times does the children of Israel, how many times do the Hebrews atone? Can anybody tell me? In a year, how many times do we have to go make atonement? Can anybody tell me? Man, this should be so instructional to all of us going forward. How many times in a year does Israel have to atone? That's the question. In one cycle of a year, how many times does Israel have to atone? Please, somebody tell me. It's not for your responses, by the way. This is so instructional. It's only once. What does that tell you? Does our focus need to be on center chicken dinner? Or does our focus need to be, let's get on with it? Like the British say, get on with it. Let's get on with it. Carry on. Isn't that what they say? Just carry on. Yeah? You said, okay, now let's carry on. Learn from it and leave it. And let's keep going. Because we have things to do. Carry on. Get on with it. Well, that didn't make a nice t-shirt. Let's just get on with it. Get on with it. You know what I mean? The beauty of relationship. I saw this, Hakoim, in the British Parliament. They were supposed to do this vote. One of the votes, because they've been voting a lot in the British Parliament. Anybody in here from the UK right now? Anybody listening in right now from the UK? Put up a capital UK if that's you. If you're listening in from the UK right now, you'll know what I'm talking about. They were supposed to do this vote, because they've been voting a lot in the UK. But because in the Parliament, there were some Jews in the Parliament, and they had this particular holiday, which they call the Shabbat, they said, well, we can't vote on this day, because we have some Parliament members that this day is religious and it's sacred to them. So they don't, you know, in respect, in the relationship the Parliament members had, they said, no, we're going to change the vote date to another day. I was like, wow. Isn't that beautiful? Such a beautiful thing to do. Get off of that line, Princess. Such a beautiful thing to do. Isn't it? To where folks would have the sensitivity. See, human beings, you know, regardless of what you may hear in your television shows, human beings, for the most part, are just totally respectful towards one another. Totally. Totally sensitive to one another. And that's great. And I saw that with the British Parliament, I was like 2 thumbs up. Because I only have 2. Unless you want my toes. Then I give you 2 thumbs up and 2 toes. I was like, oh, that's awesome. To where they took the time, okay, let's be sensitive to the needs of our members over here. And we won't vote at this time, even though these votes are crucial, and we're trying to pressure, get these votes in, and blah, blah, blah. We're trying to push things through. Hold up, pump the brakes. I thought that was so beautiful. I was like, wow, that's great. That's super great. Super great. So when we look at relationships, it's everything in life. When you sum it up, and you, as students of human nature, the core and at the root of every situation is going to be this. It's going to be relationship-based. You see? Relationship-based. I'm in the hospital the other day because, you know, we're getting all the logistics together, lining up our logistics. So I'm in the hospital the other day, me and the wife sitting down with the nurse, hospital nurse, in the labor delivery. And, you know, they all so happy. These are some of the most happiest nurses you're going to meet. Why? Because every day they deal with people that are bringing forth life. And life is coming. And it's such a joyous and just good positive energy I was getting from her. The energy was positive. And just like any student of human nature, like she is as well, she asked me a really important question. I was like, I never had a question like this. I asked her. She was like, well, yeah, I thank God for technology, because technology is awesome. My wife is Chinese, and she's in an American hospital having a baby, and she's Chinese, and so they wheel up this little, it's like this little, it's this little device, this little AI device. It's on wheels, and it has this little picture, with like a little iPad on it. It's like a little iPad on wheels, and you can wheel it around, and all she has to do is hit this button, and this interpreter, real live interpreter through the iPad comes and translates everything my wife is saying in English to the nurses and to the doctors. I was like, this is brilliant. So you don't need a physical person there, but you have this AI technology that everybody's saying is the devil. Well, a lot of people think it's the devil, but we are more clued up and wise than that. And it's just sitting there. I'm going to send you pictures, Hakoi. And then she's just talking to, her fellow countrymen from China, and the interpreters interpreted it in English. And it's just beautiful. Because that was one of the anxieties that my wife had. You're like, well, is there somebody going to be there to talk Chinese? So all of her anxieties were relieved yesterday. And I was like, wow. Such technology is beautiful. And here I am showing gratitude and giving thanks. And thank you. Got my tiger beads going. Thank you, universe. Being so grateful and gracious to this wonderful country that I've been dispersed in. Because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, Hakohi to be the first to tell you, if me and my wife was having our son in Pakistan, I can guarantee you that won't be the case. And Hakohi can tell you, that is not, especially in the Northwest Division over there, that will not be the case. So yes, I'm showing gratitude and giving thanks. Not complaining. I'm not running around here being hateful. No, I'm giving thanks. You see. I go and say, we there believe in a hardcore labor. Yeah, indeed, I go in. Indeed, hardcore labor. Indeed. And while my wife on this end of the stick here in San Antonio, Texas, is getting the limousine labor. I'm telling you. So here I am being grateful and thankful and just burning up my tiger beads. I tell you. It's a beautiful thing. So the nurse is there. She's asking questions, and everything's going to the interpreter. Everything's going fine. My wife is so happy that she can talk to somebody that speaks her language and really understands and is translating exactly what's going on and blah, blah, blah. And this little AI device is going to stay with my wife the whole time she's in the hospital. And it's truly just a wonderful experience for her. Relationship based. So my wife's relationship with this little AI gadget is just going to be second to none. She's so happy. So then the nurse asked me this question, which is a legitimate question. She's like, well, how did she get here to America from China? Like, how did you guys meet? So I kind of went into it a little bit with her and told her, I said, relationship. I said my relationship in America just didn't work out. And I was directed and instructed to go to the East for a while. And this woman had to be in her 40s, very wise woman, in my opinion. She said this. She said, there's something to what they do in the East, and I totally agree with it. Because we in the West, we haven't messed up over here. She said, we marry, we divorce. We marry, we divorce. Well, she said in the East, they marry. And just like Akoni said, she said the same way, Akoni. She said they marry when they're just babies at 5 years old. She said it just like that. She said they arranged to marry at 5 years old. And their marriages, and they're so happy. She said like this, and they're so happy. And their marriages last for such a long time. She said there's something to what they're doing in the East over there. I said, ma'am, you're absolutely right. I said, you're absolutely right, ma'am. And I told her, I said, that's why I went to the East. I went to the East for a wife for me. And now I'm truly grateful and happy that I followed the instructions and went to the East for a wife. Yeah, so to hear this woman say this nurse, I tell you what, you're right, that she's a little clued up indeed. She said, there's something to it. She said, because here in America, she said, you know, you're married one day, you're divorced the next. And she said, how come times could be like when it was the times of my grandparents that were married for 70 years, 75-year anniversary marriage. She said now they just marry, divorce within a 2-week to 3-month time frame. I was like, yeah, I know. I said, that's why I was instructed to go to the East. And I said, my wife standing here and my daughter here in America is nothing less than a miracle. Nothing less than what you see standing before you is a miracle. So truly giving thanks. Truly giving thanks. Relationship-based, Ms. Rahab. It's all about establishing relationships. I didn't sit there and condemn the woman and put her down. Oh, you Western people, blah, blah, blah. No, I just explained my experience. And she agreed with it. Respectfully. Not to say that she's going to run to the East and get a husband, because it looks like she's happy she had a big ring on her finger. So her husband is making her happy. And you know what they say, diamonds are a girl's best friend on this end of the stick. This side of the pond, they say that. But I think it's gold in the East. My wife is a fan of gold, and I think the Eastern women, they really like gold. Not too much keen on diamonds, but they do love some gold. They love some gold. I'll tell you that. That's what I've noticed. In the East. So you want to keep them happy, you do what it takes to keep them happy. Well, Christian, thank you. So in my relationship building, because I continue to build relationships, I continue to nurture relationships on many different levels. So we had a great conversation with this nurse. She did all she could do for us. But you know, she said when she left us, she said, you know what? I'm going to come see you guys. So when you give birth to that baby, I'm going to come see you guys. I want to check up on you guys and make sure you're okay and everything's okay. Beautiful spirit, great energy in this woman. And you're going to find that outside of the family as well. Just like you're going to find crooked, wicked, and evil within the family, you're going to find crooked and evil and nice and friendly outside of the family as well. So you must nurture that type of things in your relationship building, because everything's relationship based. So as you build your relationship, how many of you this day continue to build your relationships? You're not just satisfied and settling with where your relationship is. You see, a successful relationship is the ones that you continue to build. Don't let your relationships get stagnated where everything stops. That's the first thing I hear in my co-workers. They'll tell me this. Well, he's not doing what he did to get me. He's not doing that anymore. Date night, we don't have date night anymore because he watched Thursday night football. So we don't have date night. I'm like, wow. I have truly a higher respect for a woman now, my mother, any woman, especially my wife. She was already raised up, Rabbi Zakari, but now she's raised up to places that I didn't even know existed in my realm of understanding of a woman. Truly respected and then just raised up. I would never do anything to try to offend or hurt her in any kind of way. But just like we read in our Parsha, I would never try to humiliate a woman. Yet we see that time and time again in our study of human nature. Time and time again. You don't have to go far if you're listening on YouTube to find it. What happened to the respect of a woman? What happened to that? Somebody has to give that out. And that somebody has to be us. The lights to the world. We have to set the standard, the gold standard. Because that's what's needed. That's what's required in this age. Because get this, Mishpahah. Without a woman, there wouldn't be no man. Think about that for a minute. And I've been thinking about that a lot. As my son is coming. Without a woman, there would not be a man. Do you see it? How many of you feel me on this? I'm going to say it again because it's a powerful statement when you think about it. Without a woman, there wouldn't be no man. Get it. Catch it. Hang on to it. Hang on to it. This will really help you raise your level of respect. You woman that's in your life in any kind of aspect. Hang on to that, Mishpahah, especially you men in the room. When you want to go negative, think about that statement that I just said. Without a woman, you wouldn't even be here. So why are you going to disrespect a woman? Why you want to humiliate a woman? Why you want to tear a woman down? But at the end of the day, men in this room, men on YouTube, you came from a woman. That's heavy stuff. Yet we neglect that. We forget about the basics. You see? Forget about the basics, Mr. Lord. The ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s and the birds and the bees and all that. Daniel's saying they go hand in hand. Cannot coexist without the other, and that is beautiful. Indeed, it is beautiful. It's so, so beautiful. Relationship-based. As we dive into our Torah, if you don't have the Hidden Truth Break Scrolls, or what we call the Abrahamic Faith Bible now, please make this purchase on Amazon. I don't know if our new friend is still here, our new family member. You still here? Please make sure you get that Bible. It's really going to help you. I don't know if they're still here. If you are, please acknowledge they may have taken off. They may have taken off. But please get that Bible if you listen to me on YouTube as well. It's really going to help you. Abrahamic Faith Bible, you can purchase it on Amazon. You can purchase it on lulu.com. It's a great purchase as they're coming into the holiday season. Great purchase to put under their Christmas tree. It really helps them understand the Bible. And just like the Chinese have ancient traditions, beautiful customs. Now, at the end of the day, I don't care what you say, how you live your life. At the end of the day, or how you phrase it, everybody, lottie-dottie, on the face of this earth, you either have rules, you have etiquette, you have customs, you have traditions, you have laws. Every single person. Every single person. You may not associate it with a religion. I see religion as a crutch, if you ask me. It's just a crutch. It's a crutch that people just fall on whenever they need it, instead of just getting inside themselves and really finding out who they really are and what they truly desire and aspire for themselves. Because if you're a human being, you're living a life. And now, how one lives life is either based on rules. You got some rules. You got some etiquette to you. You got some custom. You got some tradition. Or you got some laws. I mean, that's it. We're talking about human nature here, the study of human nature. That's it. Every person that you run into is going to have this. You see? Every person, everyone lives by them whether they see it or not. Some people call it the fine line. I don't go beyond that line. You ever heard that said? This is the fine line. You know, I don't go beyond it. Maybe another phrase they use is standards. People say, well, I have standards. I have standards. I have standards. Everybody has this. And this is what makes us so special as a family of Jacob, is that we have awesome traditions, awesome customs. And the world needs to see them. They don't need to see they see our customs and traditions and our way of life. They see it as just a bunch of laws that just restrict. But when you begin to explain it to them, and you actually live in it, they're like, wow, what a wonderful way to live. What a wonderful way to live. Some of them even say in my circles, they say, wow, I wish we would have some customs like that, some traditions like that. Wow, you guys do that? That's awesome. What a beautiful tradition. What a beautiful custom. Yet 5 minutes ago, these same people said, oh, the Jewish way of living is just, Judaism may be a crock pot full of restricting law, custom and tradition, but when you live in the life of an Abraham, father of our faith, you realize that you're free. When you truly understand the instruction, continue to understand the instruction of the laws of Moses, that's when you're really free. And you begin to explain. How many of you have done this and you saw the light bulb come on and some people around you, when you begin to explain to them your rules, your customs, your traditions, and they begin to see how you live, and it's like their eyes like light up, and it's like the light bulb comes, and they get super happy. And they get intrigued and interested. That's the way it should be. Or they run away from you. Because remember, when the light comes on, either people are going to be attracted to you or what? People are going to be, people are going to be running for the what? They're going to be running for the dark places. And that's what you're going to find. Not that you have to go around and tell anybody anything. Because your walk does the talking for you, the way you live your life on a daily basis. And it's all based on you starting to love yourself. So the Moon Festival was beautiful for us last night. And I would encourage you all today, this day, on Shabbat, to go to YouTube and Google the Mid-Autumn Festival or the Moon Cake Festival or the Moon Festival and read up on this awesome tradition that the Chinese have where they come together as a family. And they look at the full moon. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful festival. Because why? It brings the family together. And the family that can't be there, wherever they're at in the world, guess what they do? They sit down, they take a moment, eat on some awesome moon cake. If you ever tried moon cake, you got to get some. It's sweet. I like sweetness, but I haven't found a chocolate version yet. But it is sweet, so it's okay. I like them. But you know me, I'm Willy Wonka. Well, they'll sit down and they'll eat some chocolate. I mean, they'll eat some moon cake, and they'll think about their family while they look at the moon. Hakomi mentioned this in his lecture, and I totally agree with him. Family for those in the East is so very important. The Chinese focus on it. The Pakistanis focus on it. Indian people focus on it. Family is so important. So important. Tony says, a family that works together stays together. It's beautiful. And then they see the symbolism of the round-shaped moon, of the family surrounding each other, all together. Nobody out there in left field. The family together. It's togetherness, oneness, and that's beautiful. Because when you look at relationship-based, it must start with your family. As we look at this parsha, the first thing that we crack off with this parsha talking about, yeah, going to war, but let's read. Let's go into it for a minute, because I think this is important. Let's start reading at Deuteronomy chapter 21, verses 10. And when you go forth to war against your enemies, and Yahweh your power has given them into your hands, this is an important point. Let me stop right there. Because a lot of people on YouTube thinking that we have to go to war right now. That, okay, yeah, I'm Israel, I woke up, now it's time for me to pick up my arms and begin to fight. Fight the man, fight everybody, fight the system, come out of America, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff that's just totally wrong. You see, a lot of folks on YouTube and the teachings that are out there that are being mistaught, they're focusing on fighting a war when that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be sheep in the nation, clinging to our shepherd, the Kohanim, Hakohi. It's not time for war. You see, a lot of Hebrews out here, Israelites, Jews, they're fighting battles, and the God of Israel is not with them. Look at what that verse says there. It's so very important. And Yahweh your power has given them into your hands. We only fight battles that Yahweh has already won, that already is given to our hands. What happens when we fight battles outside of that? I guarantee you the record and history will prove that we lose every one of those battles when Yahweh isn't with us. When the Kohanim isn't with us, we will lose every single battle. Anybody disagree with me, please let me know. But if we go to battle without the Kohanim, if we go to battle without the sanctioned approval of the Master Yahweh, the God of Israel, you're going to lose the battle. Are you all understanding that this day? A lot of you say, Rabbi, how does that pertain to me? Because a lot of you are at war right now. You see, you're battling, you're fighting. Your relationships are based on hatred, anger, resentment. So you're and we're not commanded to pick up arms and fight. You're trying to, you're trying to get back at somebody for doing you wrong. That's not our remit, Israel. We're supposed to be the peacemakers, not the law breakers. And I'm talking about Gentile laws you're breaking out there. You're breaking all kind of laws. You're sitting here trying to, retaliate when you should be resting. And you see, you're retaliating without the mandate of the God of Israel. You're retaliating when the Kohen didn't say nothing about fighting no wars. He's not talking about, none of his teaching as of late that I know of have been talking about fighting wars and picking up arms and going to the academy store and buying you a gun and using it to, protect your family, of course, because remember, family come first. I'm not just going to let somebody come to my house and take my belongings and mess with my family. Oh, I'm going to take care of. Believe me, they come through here, they're going to get taken care of. But there's no need for you to go out and shooting up the place like Wild Wild West. There's no need for that. But you look at most of these groups on YouTube, and the first thing they want to do is they're talking about, the rumblings of war. We must fight, my brothers, my sisters. We must get up and fight. We must fight the man. We must fight the system. We must come out of her and all of this mumbo jumbo. That doesn't make $1 out of 15 cents. But yeah, that's what they're saying. So these are mandated wars. These are mandated wars by man, not by the God of Israel. And I guarantee you, you will lose every time. If you don't have the stamp of the approval of the Kohanim go before you, then there's no wars. And believe me, the Kohen now is not teaching nothing about wars, but all about the family relationship. That's the whole, and that's been the teaching for the past 5, 6 years. Family, 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 yourself, family, family. If you're not getting it, I hope you get it now. Family, family. And it's repetitive. Beating it into your subconscious. And instead of the beating of the drums of war, it's the beating of the drums of family. The beating of the drums of peace. The beating of the drums of love. The beating of the drums of joy. The beating of the drums of happiness. That is the beating of the drums that are happening now. So if you're associated with any kind of group that associate themselves with the God of Israel and with the laws of Moses, and he's telling you to get up and fight, or she's telling you to get up and fight, pick up arms, run away. Run far away from these kind of groups. Because if the God of Israel has not sanctioned the war, then you're going to lose. You're going to lose. How much you lose, that's not my place. But you're going to lose. You're not going to win. Now that's just the gun side of it, but there's another side to it as well. This is the side of relationships to where, you're killing folks with your words, with your emotions of hatred. You're coming at another person. It's not time for war. Put the war mentality away from you. Put it away. You should be building peace. You should all be peace ambassadors. Making peace first starts where? It starts in your home. You make the peace with who first? With yourself. Here's a question for you, and I'd like your response. How many of you in this room right now are at peace with yourself? Put up a capital P if that's you. You can say right now, Rabbi Kefa, I am at peace with myself. You must be at peace with yourself first. Many of you are screaming for peace, you're praying for peace, but if you ain't at peace with yourself first, you can't be at peace with nobody else around you. You must be at peace with yourself. To not be your responsibility. But you must be at peace with yourself first. You see, because when you're at peace with yourself, peace will permeate outside of you. And then you'll notice everybody around you will be at peace. And they'll tell you, I'm at peace. They will tell you with their mouth, I'm at peace. I'm seeing it happen with my own eyes. They'll say, I'm at peace. I'm at peace. I am at peace. That's a beautiful thing. Torah says, and a big smile. Peace and a big smile. For sure. That's a combination for sure. A big smile. So like Rabbi Brit says, when you go through hell, just keep walking. And you can be at peace. He says, so come go through your hell. So you can keep walking and get to heaven's side. You know what I mean? That's beautiful. But again, it requires that, mirror work, as Kohen calls it. You get in front of the mirror, and you begin to tell yourself, I'm at peace. You tell yourself that every day, I'm at peace, I'm at peace, I'm at peace. I'm at peace. I am peace. I, Lamont, am peace. I, Lamont, am joy. I, Lamont, am whole. It's good stuff. I, Lamont, am positive energy. It's good stuff. Other people don't have to hear you say it. But your inner man needs to hear that. That mirror work is feeding your inner man. You see, you start telling everybody else outside of yourself, they'll come back at you with some negativity and then change your makeup because you're not strong on the inside. Wow. It's beautiful stuff, I'm telling you. So let's begin reading from Deuteronomy chapter 21 verse 10. When you go forth to war against your enemies, number one, you're going to have some enemies, right? But the Master Yahweh, your power has given them into your hands, and Yahweh, your power, Yahweh, your power has to give them into, He has to give them into your hands. You just can't go to war and stop doing that, as we discussed. And you have taken them captive, and you see among the captives a beautiful woman, relationship-based, baby. It's always that beautiful woman. And I say that in all respect to the women because all of y'all are beautiful, right? That beautiful woman. Whoa, man. They said when Adam first saw Eve, Gentiles say this, that Adam's first words were, whoa, man. Whoa, man. Relationship-based. This is what it's all about. Relationship-based. And you see a beautiful woman, a beautiful captive. Among the captives, a beautiful woman. And you find her attractive. And that you would like to have her to be your wife. Beautiful thing. Again, relationship-based. Relationship-based. All majority of our customs, our laws, our traditions, all of them are relationship-based. And we find the most important ones is dealing, as we see right here in this portion, is with marriage. It's what you find in love. As you find that beautiful and attractive woman. So women in the room, what should you be telling yourself every day according to the Torah? You should be telling yourself what? I am a beautiful and attractive woman. You should be saying, I, Ursula, am a beautiful and attractive woman. Wow, that's powerful. Mirror work, Ursula. Shabbat shalom to you. I, Ursula, am a beautiful and what? Attractive woman. And the men in the room, I can already tell you, in their script, they desire a beautiful and attractive woman. Two and two coming together to get four. A beautiful and attractive woman. I, so-and-so, I, a Torah, am a beautiful and attractive woman. Do you see it? It's just that simple. Kohen talked about this to us. Affirmation building is powerful. Yet it's so simple that it's powerful. Gentiles like to say this all the time. Less is more. Isn't that true? Less is more. Less is more. Think about that for a minute. Less is more. That's good stuff. Verse 12 of Deuteronomy chapter 21. Then you shall bring her home to your face, and she shall and she shall shave her head and trim her nails, and she shall remove the clothing before being captured, and shall remain in your faith, and have a period of mourning for her father and for her mother, a full month. And after that, you may have sexual relationship with her and become a husband, and she shall be your wife. And it shall be that if you listen to this is part. And it shall be that if you have no delight in her, then you shall send her off where she will, but you shall not sell her at all for money. You shall not make merchandise of her because you have humiliated her. I'm going to stop right there for a minute. Because I'm pro-woman. I'm going to let you know that right now. Full disclosure. Rabbi Kefa is pro-woman. Always love the woman, always will. Now, my levels of love for a woman have changed. And they continue to evolve and grow. And I thank the Master Yahweh. I thank the Kohen for that as well. As the levels of love for a woman continue to grow. My levels don't stagnate or plateau off anywhere. They continue to grow. And I think that's part of my growth as well. The inner man within me is grow. So all the areas and facets of my life are going to grow as well. None of them are going to stay stagnated. The last thing on the face of this earth that I want to do is humiliate anybody. Torah is not about humiliation. It's not about shaming anyone, and it's definitely not about humiliation. So for those of you who listen via YouTube, if that's your remit to get on there and put a woman down, then you're not in the Torah of Moses. You're going to get into your own little thing over there. It's probably turning a lot of people away from the true attributes of the laws of Moses, but so be it. You'll be dealt with in due time. This is why it's so pertinent and prevalent for all of us in this room to uplift the practical and real way of how to live the laws of Moses here in 2019. Whoa. You all are so special, so valuable, family. Just showing your world great things. Just like I'm showing my world great things in San Antonio. Show them great things. Show them that they can be happy. Show them that they can have peace. They can have love in their life. It's very easy. But it does take some work. And it's definitely not free. It's definitely not free, right? You know that. You shall not make merchandise of her because you have humiliated her. We do not, even in what you may consider, negative times in your life where things don't work out, it just didn't work out. Some things in your life just not going to work out. But even during those times, you want to go through it with not humility. How many of you in this room have been through a divorce? We put up a D, a capital D for me. I've been through a divorce before. How many of you in this room been through a divorce? Okay, you've been through a divorce. Now, how many of you know, especially here in the West, that divorces can get pretty nasty? Anybody know what I'm talking about? These Western divorces can get pretty nasty. And it has nothing to do with the law of the land, but it has to do with the two parties. It has to do with party A, meaning the man, and party B, meaning the woman. And it's just terrible to sit there and watch a lot of these divorces go out. Because at one time or another, these same two people loved one another. Had a love for one another. Did love one another. Maybe even had some offspring together. Co-creators. Co-manifestors with the Creator himself to bring forth life. And now they're like enemies. Not sanctioned by the God of Israel, but they're enemies fighting one another tooth and nail for what? Possessions? So you can one up somebody? I mean, what's the reason, rationale? Really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But you should be able to go through these times without humiliating one another. You understand what I'm saying? You can go through a divorce just as peaceful. You can go through what I would coin a heavenly divorce. And it can be done. It can be done. I experienced that myself, personally. No problem. I experienced it. I experienced that person. Went through the divorce. It was it was just, this is just not for you. I respect that. I'm going to leave you better than I found you. Then it came back to bite me in the backside. Well, so she thought it came back to bite me in the backside because, leaving her better than what I found her wasn't good enough. She wanted more. So still gave her more, and now that chapter's closed. But in that divorce, we weren't fighting to yell at each other. There's no need for that. Two grown folks. Let's sit down and reason together like two grown folks. Like two grown adults. You can sit down, reason, like what's going on. There's no need. There's no need for me to sit here and humiliate you and to just show all the negativity that you've done in the years that we were married. What good is that gonna do? Because just like there were negative times, there were positive times as well. When we had great moments together, great family moments together, great intimate moments together. I mean, come on, man. That's the perfection of life. Is that you have to balance it out, the good with the bad, right? But too many times you want to focus on the bad, never realizing that there were some good times that you guys had together. A lot of great times, you see? A lot of great times. So you go through divorce and there's humiliation and, oh my goodness, the woman that you loved at one time, now you got her out there like trailer trash. You live in a trailer, no offense. You got out there like yesterday's garbage, and that's just not right. That's humiliating. You call yourself anywhere near the Torah of Moses, you should not be doing that. You may want to go in and reassess your situation. Don't let anger rule the day, hatred rule the roost. No. You show love and compassion, not humiliating, putting someone down. You stay humble. Even though they may let you asking for the kitchen sink, but sometime they will. I know you men, you know it. Well, they deserve it. They put up with your butt for that amount of time. Give it to them. You can buy another kitchen sink. A better one, by the way. You get your better kitchen sink. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to put things in perspective, Mr. Hall. And you're quarreling and you're hurting one another over nothingness, over material things, or because your feelings got hurt, or because they broke your heart. Well, you're still here, Mr. Bahar, so your heart must have mended. Rukashir, thank you, universe. Your heart mended up. Don't humiliate. You see, relationship-based. The Torah of Moses tells us we got to humiliate a woman. If we loving them or if we leaving them, we don't humiliate. We don't want to shame them in any kind of way. Do you see the beauty of our Torah? Isn't it so beautiful? Because it looks at humanity as humanity. And it raises the people up that follow it, that really follow the instructions of this law. It automatically raises them up above everybody else because we're at a higher level. We're not going to go with humiliation. We're going to come at you humble. Give you what you want. Okay, here you go. If that's what's going to make you happy, no problem. Because I'm going to manifest 10 times that, 20 times that, 100 folds coming back to me. Because I'm leaving you in love, and I'm leaving you in peace. And I wish for you, and I desire for you to have very much joy. I don't wish anything, and I don't hope anything either. I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to desire it for you. You understand, Mr. Hall, going forward? That's what you need to do. Now, that's relationship-based. That's just one area. You see? That's one area, yet is one very important area, because why would Torah focus on that area? Because that's a big area that's happening time and time again in every generation. Husband-wife relationship. Ooh, I find that woman attractive. I find that man attractive. I find that woman to be very beautiful. I find that man to be very handsome. If you can come together, I tell you, that's the beauty in it. Come together. Make a relationship of it. If it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out, Mr. Hart. But you have to work at it. Any relationship worth its weight is a relationship based on what? That you have to work at it. The relationship is not going to come to you. You have to work at it. Work at it in every requires two coming together. Not getting everything they want, but being able to come together and meet where? Somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. Go in there with that mentality. I'm a big fan of the woman. I'm a big fan. I'm pro-woman. Kohen is pro-woman. I can tell you just by looking at his life, he's pro-woman. He don't have to tell you. He lives being pro-woman. Pro-woman. I only want the best for all of you women in this room. I only desire the best for you. The best that you want, I desire that for you as well. Because you deserve it. You deserve it, family. You shouldn't settle. And I know a lot of you women in this room probably saying right now, Rabbi Kefa, you should have told me this 20 years ago. Because you deserve it. You deserve the best. Don't just settle. Well, I settled, Rabbi, 3 times and I'm done settling. I'm just done with it. I'm fed up with it. But family is so important to the family. The family Jacob. Don't give up on relationship. I think that's another thing I'd like to really cheer you on with today. Is just don't give up on relationship based on what happened to you in your past. Make your relationship present and start anew. It happens. It does happen. I've seen it happen several times. You just start anew. Learn from your past experiences and take those lessons and experiences forward. Don't bring them into your new relationship because that's not fair to that man or to the woman. But start new to nurture a humble, happy, hilarious home. The 3 H's. We can call it HQ. The humble, happy, and hilarious home. Because I tell you what, laughter is a great medicine. And if you can laugh, especially with your wife, you make your wife laugh. Well, I've been kind of laying off that right now because I didn't want my son to come out too early because my wife gets to laughing and now Sean will pop out. I didn't want that to happen. But laughter is very important. I know in my home it is. I like to make my wife laugh, my daughter laugh. It's very important. It's a great medicine. So be hilarious, be humble, be happy in your home. And that's the kind of home you all desire and aspire, and I know you do for yourself. But I want to encourage those that are sitting on the sideline I want to encourage all of you who are sitting on the sideline to get in the game. Look for, continue to, go out and get active with it. Look for that man and that woman that you need to really begin to establish your relationship. Yes, have it for yourself, but in the meantime, go, you got to find out what you like in yourself, and then you can really begin to see what you're going to like in the opposite sex, in the spouse. Sometimes it don't have to be the same thing. It can be opposite, which is brilliant as well. But it's whatever you want. And that's what makes you unique. And this is why we have to look at each case on a case-by-case basis. Because each one of your cases is different. Unique. And that's beautiful. And that's why you have to go to the court and say, this is my situation. This is what I like. This is what I desire for myself. I'm going to manifest this kind of woman. Any instruction, any advice, give me advice and instruction on what I need to do so I can go out and do it properly. Do it the right way. So that I can see physical results. I'm a product of listening to how Kohen is strict. And I'm seeing the physical results. I'm seeing them. And I say, Baruch Hashem. And I say, thank you to the Kohen. Because I'm telling you that it works if you work it. But you got to work it. And you got to work it properly. Well, it works. It works. If the instruction of the Kohen has never failed me. Never has it failed. Hagee, on the other hand, went to Hagee, I couldn't even get to him. So I never got to the assessment side of that side. They just told me I need to go pray more. My goodness, what good did that do? Nothing. Nothing from nothing will leave you nothing. So I really want to hone in today on this humiliating factor. Because how many, I'm speaking to the women here for a minute. How many women in this room, at one time or another, you've been humiliated? At one time in your life or another, you can say, Rabbi, yeah, I remember that time I was humiliated. Any women in this room, put up a capital H, because I want to make sure I get this clear. That you can say, Rabbi, yeah, I have been humiliated before in my life. I have been humiliated. I have been humiliated. Stop with your responses, by the way. This real business here. This is real business, real experiences here. That's the last thing on the face of this earth you want to do to a woman is humiliate her. Don't do that, Mr. Hardback. Okay, let me get a little bit more personal. For those of you that put up that you will be women in the room, how many of you women in the room, this is for instruction reasons, how many of you women in the room were humiliated by a man? Put up an M if that's you. If you were humiliated, when you were humiliated, you was humiliated by a man. Put up an M if that's you. Without your response. Family, I appreciate it. Humiliation stemmed from a man. Without your response. I think this is very important for you to see this, Mr. Hardback. This is very, very important for you to see. So for the, let me see, I had 4 H's, 4 H's and 3 M's. So my goodness, majority of the women that were humiliated by me. God forbid that be one of us then. God forbid that be one of us. And if it is one of us, it's time to make restitution, make it right, repent of our ways. And the men in this room, if we have that kind of mentality, that's a mentality that we need to change. We need to walk on eggshells when it comes to the women. Women in general. You must walk on eggshells. Understanding this. Men understand that they have let's read something in the Parsha first before we continue, before we go any further. See, then the Parsha goes on to talk about the 2 wives, which I think is very, very important. Let me find this part. When I read this, it's kind of resonated with me. I always understood it, but let's keep reading. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 21, and we'll read verses 15, I think. Let's read verse 15. Yeah, if a man has 2 wives, one he loved, and another loved less. Stop with that translation. I'll go in by the way. I kept reading it in King James back in the day. Well, I guess you can hate a woman. Because the Bible says you can hate one. And you see a lot of people are rolling with that understanding. So if you don't have the hidden truth break scrolls, please get them. Because, you know, they're interpreting the laws of Moses like we're a hate group. Because if you would read that on the space surface, it's telling you right that you can hate, according to the King James Version, that you can hate a woman. Am I right? Some people are going to interpret it that way. Oh, well, you can just run around. Oh, I can hate a woman because the Bible says I can hate you. You know what I mean? The RSAHK, or you cleaning that up. And another loved less, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the loved less. And if the Behor, the firstborn son, was on the one that was loved less, then it shall be, when he makes his sons to inherit that which he has, that he may not make the son of the beloved before the firstborn, before the son of the loved less, which is indeed the Behor, the firstborn. Now, verse 17 is what I want to key in on. But if he shall acknowledge the son of the loveless for the Behor, firstborn, by giving him a double portion of all that he has. For he is the beginning of his strength. For he is the beginning of his strength. What is that telling you about a son? Is that the son is your strength. So men, all of you men, you're a son. You may not be the firstborn son, but you're a son. So you're strong. Thus, women are weaker. And I know women, you see this, and I don't mean this in a chauvinistic type way, but I mean this to defend you, women, from being humiliated. You understand what I'm saying? From being humiliated, because men are stronger. So we need to walk on eggshells when it comes to a woman. We need to be extra sensitive, extra loving, extra on guard on how we speak and how it's spoken. Because you are the strength, men. Torah tells you you're the strength. Firstborn sons, you're the strength, but all men are strength. You may have different levels of strength. But you're strong, thus making the woman weaker, a weaker vessel. My queen has taught us this many times before, and I believe this to be true. And I know a lot of women. You women. Now, I don't want to say I know that. Let me ask the women in the room. Women in the room, do you understand that you're the weaker vessel? Put up a capital W if that's you. You understand when it comes to a man and a woman that you're the weaker vessel. How many of you understand that? And you don't have no problem with it. You're not saying, well, Rabbi, this is chauvinistic, blah, 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 blah. No, you're the weaker vessel. And I say that in all humility and all respect because you need to be handled extra sensitive. Yeah. Oh, yeah, unless you Wonder Woman. So you are the weaker vessel. I was watching Wonder Woman the other day. So unless you're Wonder Woman, man, I tell you, Wonder Woman's throwing tanks around. I'm like, my goodness, what the heck is this? Well, it's Amazon women from somewhere. But, you're the weaker vessel. And I say that to say this, to support you 110%. Is that man needs to be extra sensitive. You're so delicate. You're delicate. You're delicate. As I say that, as I recall situations that I had confrontations of relationships, I was like, wow, I didn't see any delicacy in that relationship. But again, they're still delicate. You're still delicate. You're very delicate, and you need to be handled that way. Just not to offend you and not to humiliate you. Man, I hope you're learning something this day, because I sure am. I have a high respect for women than I ever had before. And I'm pretty sure my respect for women will even get higher as I continue to go down continue to go up the levels, the echelons of respect for my wife, for my daughter, to my son, and my son's got to my son. My goodness. See? Of course, if you're throwing tanks in Hollywood, you must be the head. And see, like, we'll have to do one of the Master Yahweh moves. And in that situation, we have to do some changing. In this relationship, you're going to have to run the roost. For sure. Throwing tanks around? My goodness, honey, just don't throw my breakfast around like that, okay? I'm going to be tossing my breakfast. Hey, you want to talk about walking on some eggshells? Be married to Wonder Woman. Oh, you're going to be walking on some eggshells for sure. You men will be walking on some eggshells. Yes, honey. How did you like your tea? Did I put enough sugar in there for you? I don't want to mess this up. Was your egg cooked properly, honey? Funsy. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I would definitely be walking on some eggshells myself. I'm just a little symbol compared to I can't be Lion King with Wonder Woman as the wife. I would just be little Simba over there in the corner, trying to get some chicken some kitchen scraps. I'm happy. Totally happy with that. So these are things that we have to look at and examine going forward, Mr. Bahar, is that what we want to do is we always want to raise up the woman. We don't want to tear her down. We're not trying to humiliate her in any kind of way. We always want to humiliation should be far from us. We're not trying to shame a woman. Never. Take that out of your vocabulary, you Hebrew men in the room. You call yourselves followers of Moses and raise up and lift up Moses by what? By honoring women, showing respect for them, not humiliating. Understanding this point, that without a woman there wouldn't be this strong son that we see in Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 17. As we talk about the firstborn and get the double portion, for he is the beginning of your strength. That's the beginning of your strength. My goodness. How many of you firstborn in this room? You sons, you firstborn sons. You're the beginning of the strength. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. That's heavy stuff there. That's responsibility. Double portion. But with that double portion, with that double strength, comes double responsibility. So you must highly be responsible. Highly be responsible for that woman, for that wife, for that daughter that you have. That you can teach them the proper way to live a life. Not through our custom and our traditions and our ways. The customs and tradition that you institute within your home of the H squared. The hilarious house, the happy house, and the humble house. These things are going to be very, very important going forward for us to learn. As we deal with the relationship base, because that's everything in our Torah is relationship based. Now, how you handle the relationship, this is where you get instruction from the Kohen. This is how we need to handle it. So that the relationship base will be seen by other people around you, or we could say the other nations, and they'll be in envy of it. They'll be like, wow, is this how you people do things? This is brilliant. I wish we had instituted things like this. I'm going to start doing something similar like this in my house. What a great testament to the God of Israel. What a great testament to the Torah of Moses. Moshe, Musa. What a great testament. That's letting your light shine, Mishpachah. So before you get to that festivity meter, the way you pissed off beyond festivity, remember humility and not humiliation. We don't want to humiliate our women. The woman that you love, the woman that you say is beautiful, the woman that you say is attractive, and any woman outside of that. Because outside of that, you let your light shine. And you may run into the scenario, like Agui talked about, to where a woman wants to just hang on to your zits on the corner of your fringes because you're just the man. How many of you just want to be the man? Niggas say, wow, you just a man. I only want to marry you. I'm just sticking with you. I don't want to marry. You're going to have to marry me because I'm marrying you. Wow. That's some of that caveman Conan the Barbarian stuff. Cave woman come out there, they take you by the hair and grab you. Take you by your nappy hair, grab you, pulling you in the cave. I'm going to marry you, and that's final. I only want to marry you. Why? Because you're the man. And they see that humility in you. And they see how you raise up and respect a woman. Women. Not just one woman. You're not selective. Well, I'm only going to treat you good, but my co-worker women at work, I'm going to treat them bad, and I'm going to cuss them out, and I'm going to tell them what time of day it is. They all, come from female dogs and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not going to be none of that. This is universal stuff here. This is universal stuff here. It's all relationship-based. Relationship at its base starts with a man and a woman. This is what this parsha is telling about. And then, from the man and the woman, what do? They beget children. They beget sons. You see, all of this is relationship-based. And it's going to go on. And it's going to continue to go on this way. That's what's established. And the question is, what do you do in between that? How do you handle that? Number one, I tell you, don't stay single. That's not your remit to be single. You need to be on the search. Don't be single. You need to be on the search for that woman or that man that you desire. That woman or that man that you want to attract. Anybody on their vision board have a woman or a man that they're trying to attract? Is that one of your aspirations? Is that any affirmations? Anybody? Anybody trying to attract a woman and a man or a man? Anybody in this room? What I would tell you is just don't be stagnant. Don't get in the game. Get off the sidelines. Get in the game and establish a relationship. Because truly, I'm gonna tell you this. You're not truly going to be fully happy by yourself. That's just real. I'm speaking real. As human beings, we're social creatures, and we're not meant to be alone. Don't believe me? Go back to the beginnings of our books and the books of Genesis. You'll realize that our history, our way of life. Because our way of life is not that of a single person. Relationship. Yeah, have a relationship with yourself first, but don't stay by yourself and don't be by yourself. How you going to beget these strong sons and strength? You can't do it by yourself. It takes a man and a woman to make that happen. And the Creator Himself. So there's three parties at work. Yeah. What a beautiful companionship. And that's where we are right now. And we've been this way for a very long time. Hakoi's making a very crucial point. God created pairs. Indeed, Hakoi. Say that again over. That's so true. Do you get that wisdom? God created pairs. So why are you rolling solo? You see? Hakoi said that even if there's not a need for any children, pairs are very important. You're hearing it, and that's so true. Who says you have to be married for children? There's many other reasons why you need to marry. Number one, just to be happy. Number two, to have companionship. Family. Number three, to have a family. Husband and a wife, that's a family. Right there, boom. That's a family. My wife has this friend in China. Her husband, she's married, and husband and wife, they're very happy they're in China. But they decided not to have any children. But they got about 18 cats. I was like, okay, great. They have a wonderful family. That's their family. And she loves those cats, and she takes care of those cats like they're her children. And I'm like, hey, great, well, good job. Thank you. And guess what? Husband and wife are truly happy together. That's great. So a family is a husband and a wife. A family just can't be a man. A man is not a family. A woman by herself is not a family. By herself, sorry. It's not a family. Consider this going forward, Mr. Hall. All Rabbi Kefa saying this day is get off the sideline and get in the game. Get off the sideline. And if you want a man, first thing you have to do is you have to put him on your vision board. You have to add him to your affirmations. You want a woman, first thing you need to do, put her on your vision board. Put her in your affirmations. You got to do that. I mean, Jeff Bezos is not going to see you a woman in the box. Front door, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to look at your ring and, oh, there's that woman that I've been looking for. That ring is going to show at your front door. She's right there. Oh, yes, that's just what I want. You don't even know what you want. You don't even know what you want. It's just a woman at the door. Consider these things going forward, Mr. Hart. You know, I love it, I leave you all. I love it, I leave you all. Now, I want you to understand this, is that relationship-based is everything. Torah is relationship-based. Torah, I mean, if you cannot take Torah and hide in a mountain. Just like you can't take your light and put it under your bed, like the Master Yahweh, the Master Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth told us. You can't take your Torah and you can't put it in the closet, just like you can't take your light and put it in. It's relationship. Torah is relationship. It's a beautiful relationship, by the way. Continue to understand it and you'll do yourself a great service. Now I want to leave it open for any questions. Yeah, you're right. It's a must. You must shine the Torah. That is true. It's just, that's part of your DNA to shine. If you have the DNA of El Shaddai, your DNA is to shine, not to blow up. You're not a bomb. You're not going to blow up. Blow up with hatred. Blow up with anger. That's not our remit. Our remit is to shine with love, shine with compassion, shine with joy. And that's what we're going to do life going forward. That's just what we're going to do. And we're going to love every minute of it. And we're going to go through life happy, humble, full of joy, full of peace, full of love. I'm with y'all on this. I'm right with y'all. I'm right on the East coattail. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. You can be a part of it, or you can sit on the sideline. I'm encouraging you not to sit on the sideline and take part. You see? Listen to this. I was listening to this lawyer. I don't know why I've been listening to lawyers lately. But I was listening to this famous lawyer that was a professor at a famous university here in America. And he said, you know what I do with my students? I'm going to say this in closing. He said, you know what I do with my students? He said, at the end of the course, I make my students write an obituary. I thought that was great. Listen to this. This is quite instructional. He's like, you know what I do with my students? He said, I make my students write an obituary. I'm like, wow, obituary. What's up with that? Obituary. Why would you think he would make his students write an obituary? Now, if you're a lawyer, or what they call, I guess in the UK they call them barristers, right? They call them barristers in the UK. But if you're a lawyer, your compassion should be for the people, right? And if you're a lawyer, you're in service to others. You're in service. You're providing a service. You're a helper. You're helping somebody else, with a case or with a situation out. You're making the world a better place. Or making people comply with the law, you see. Actually spot on. Well said, luxury class. To self-reflect on the legacy a person is leaving. Now, what this professor said, he said this, which I thought was a good point. He said, in every one of the statements that was given out, every single one of the statements that was given out on the obituary, nobody mentioned anything about how many cars they had, how many houses they had, how much money they had in the bank in their obituaries. What they mentioned was the things that they did in relationship to people, how they helped people, and they also talked about that they left something behind that was positive on the face of this earth. I thought that was very interesting. Isn't that interesting? They all wrote about leaving something positive behind when they left this earth. I thought that was beautiful. And so we need to be the same way, even more so. Is that we need to leave behind some positive energy, something positive. I started to understand, I continue to understand what I meant there in verse 17 of Deuteronomy 21, where he talked about what? Your son is your strength. It's the beginning of your strength. Wow. I'm seeing what's going on there. And there's some of the top layers. You know what I mean? So consider that going forward, Ms. Mahal. Consider that going forward. You would write your obituary. What would you say? Well, I have this many cars. I made this amount of money. Blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, majority of his students, he said all of them, literally, they wrote about their relationship with people and how they wanted to leave the world in a better place and how they found it. Isn't that beautiful? Human beings, at the end of the day, all human beings, look who we are. We need to consider. And see, now you can write your obituary today. You still got a lot of time. You got a lot of things to do. You got a lot of things you're attracting and manifesting. So you're in that. You're writing history as we speak. That's beautiful. What kind of history are you going to write? That's the question. On that note, love y'all. I leave off. I wish you all a great Shabbat ahead. Great festival ahead as well. Go out, blow your trumpets, give thanks, and remember, relationship based. Keep your family together, spend time together with one another. It's beautiful. Make memories, take pictures, make memories that will last. In this life and the world to come. Spend quality time with your family. Love your husband, love your wife, and do good towards all humanity. Love all, and bring more peace into the world. Not division. On that note, I'll leave you. I love you. I turn it back over to Akko, and y'all have a wonderful Shabbat. Great 6 days of labor ahead as well. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat and shalom.
After that, Rabbi Kefa. Okay, so just quickly touch up on one particular verse in the New Testament scriptures, which is said by Yehoshua of Nazareth, Jesus of Nazareth. He said in Matthew 18:3 that it goes something like this, that unless you become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, I thought that was kind of good to touch on this little verse, because a lot of people may get this the wrong way, or you could, using this verse, you could say many things. People could say, religious people could say, well, if you're not children, if you're not like children, you won't enter heaven, and so on and so forth, and you're going to go to hell, and there's a lot of this going on out there. But what does it actually mean? What does it literally mean? So I'll tell you a little story, and then I'll tell you what it actually literally means. There is a kid that I've never met in the East who actually is expecting to meet me, sometimes in the near future. Anyhow, there is a auntie of his as well that I have to meet, and probably his mother I have to meet as well, of course, because he's a son of a particular mother. So what I did, I sent him a little gift, a little car, toy car from America. It was just like one of those cheap frills, like $1 car. So I sent him this car, and I sent a message with it. I said, this is the car that you need to keep as a symbol. This kid is only about 5-6 years old. I said, this is a car that you need to keep as a symbol for your future reference for your future car. When you grow up, this will be your symbol for your car. One day you're going to buy yourself a car, and you're going to drive your family in that car. Perhaps your wife, perhaps your children, etc. So I said, this will make a nice little symbol. And he has a little car, and he knows about me. He doesn't know me directly. I've never spoken to him directly, but he knows about me indirectly through his mother. So anyhow, now of course, I don't know when I'm going to be able to go down to his place, because I live in a totally different city to where I am going. It's it's hundreds of miles away. So anyhow, so a discussion came up over there about me that maybe I'm not going to go there, maybe I'm not going to see him, to that effect, kind of, and maybe I'm a bad man, to that effect, kind of. This other lady was teasing him that Simon is not coming to be here, and Simon's a bad man. And he said, no. He said, Simon's not a bad man. He said, Simon's gonna come. And then he doesn't even know me. He's never met me, and yet he was so adamant. And I hadn't spoken to him, I hadn't sent him a message for maybe about 4 weeks. And he then, he basically was defending me without ever speaking to me, to this auntie of his, and she was telling him that Simon's not going to come. Simon's a bad man. He's no good. He's like, no, Simon's not a bad man. No, he will be here. And then I spoke to this woman. After about 4 weeks, I had a chat with her, and I said to her, you know what, that kid has more faith than everybody put together in that whole clan, whole family of yours. I said, that's the kind of faith that you people need to have to be successful in life. Because I said, look, he's very pure. He's a child. He doesn't know anything what's going on around him. He doesn't know where I live. He doesn't know how many miles I'm away. But he is adamant that I'm going to be there. And I said, by golly, by God's, witness, I will be there. I said, I will be there. It doesn't matter when, but I will visit that city. So I said that I've got to give that kid right. I've got to give him, my goodness, I've got to give him thumbs up. I said, this kid has so much faith that I'm surprised by his faith. And so I said, this is the kind of faith that people are missing today. And so when Jesus was speaking about this kind of faith that children have, he was speaking about the imagination. When he says the kingdom of God, they will not enter the kingdom of God, we're talking about imagination over here, not some physical place. We are talking about a spiritual place where we can only enter when we have the belief and the trust of a child. And I think everyone can learn from that. In this room and outside, people who are going to listen in can learn from that when you make yourself like a little child and you put your trust in God and you go into your imagination believing something, and if you believe that you're going to receive something and you have full belief over it, not this Mickey Mouse belief that 1 minute you're there and next minute you're crying and third minute your face is falling on the floor. I've seen that with people all over the place. I see that with people all the time. 1 minute they're in belief, next minute they're in negativity, third minute they're doing something else. And you have got to have that child's faith. The child is not always happy. Sometimes he might be crying. Sometimes he might be in a happy mood. Sometimes he's playing. But his faith is steadfast. And that's where you need to be. Your faith needs to be steadfast as a child. When you set your parameters and you say especially for you, Yan, when you say that I'm going to be driving my new car, and you're going to say, I am driving my new car, and I am grateful. When you say that, I am driving my new car and I'm grateful, and you set your faith, and you see in your vision, in your visualization, you see that you are driving a new car. Let's not worry about what make it is, because God knows what make to give you. You will have that new car. That's called pure faith. And when you believe that you're going to have a happy marriage, and you're going to have a good wife, and you believe in it, and you dwell on it, and you work on it, you will get your happy wife as well. But when you're always dwelling on negativity, of course human beings, who said that human beings are happy all the time? No one's happy all the time. People don't have a smile on their face. They're not jokers. They don't have a smile on their face 24 hours. People go through ups and downs in the day. They can be happy one minute, they can be sad the next minute, and they can be thinking about, paying a bill the third minute. So all these emotions people go through every day of their life. There's actually technically nothing wrong with that. But there is nothing that says, you see, here is a false teaching out there. And by, I would probably say, good meaning people. And I don't need to name names. There are dozens of them out there. You could go look for yourself, and you'll know what they are saying. Mostly they'll say you got to be happy. They'll say you got to have high vibration, and they'll say you got to be in the right mind, and blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and then you will get your manifestation. By the way, that is total rubbish. That is total utter nonsense. You can be Mr. Grinch, but if you set your mind on a manifestation and a desire, even Mr. Grinch can receive it. Now the question is, will Mr. Grinch keep it? That's a separate matter. So my take, you can be Mr. Grinch, you can be the most ugliest person in the world, and you can be the most miserable person in the world, you can still have your manifestation. There's no such thing as high vibration, by the way. That's a total rubbish. People like, so many people out there that I heard on YouTube are teaching these principles. They have absolutely nothing to do with reality. They have no reality behind them. Saying that, oh, you got to raise your vibration high, you got to be in alignment with the universe. Total bullshit. BS. That is total BS. There's no such thing as alignment with the universe, having a high vibration. Everybody has a vibration. Everybody. It doesn't matter if it's high or low. We all carry it. We are all computers. We are multi-complex machines. So this idea of having a high and low vibration is total nonsense. If you turn on a laptop, every laptop gives off some kind of frequency. Every telephone gives off a frequency. Are you going to say that an iPhone gives off higher frequency versus an, Note 9, for instance? Does Note 9 give lower frequency versus iPhone 8 Plus or the iPhone MX model? Or are we going to say that a cheap phone from China that you can buy from Amazon for $50, are we going to say that gives lower frequency versus an iPhone? Answer is no, they all give frequencies. They equally give frequencies. Without their frequencies, they could not connect to any GSM. Our GSM is God. If we didn't have frequency, we would not connect to God, period. So this idea that teachers are broadcasting out there, you got to be high vibration, you got to always be smiling, you got to always be doing this. That by the way, that is total and utter rubbish. Don't follow it. Don't listen to it, because you're only wasting your time if you're listening to these kind of teachers, because they are misleading you, but they're drawing you into a false premise that doesn't exist. So there's only two things that need to happen. Number one, you need to know what you want. Once you know what you want, number two, you write it down. Number three, you repeat it. Number four, you visualize it. Number five, you receive it. That's the only thing to it. There's nothing else to it. There's no magic here. It's not like some magic that, hey, Jimmy over there, he had a high vibration and he was able to produce his Chevy, and I over here had a lower vibration and I was not able to produce my Mercedes. That's not true. Because both of you, Jimmy over there and the person over here, both can produce your Mercedes and your Chevy truck or whatever you're desiring to purchase or have. So this idea that is being taught out there, and sometimes, because when I go to post videos, I often come across videos that are maybe related videos, maybe with lower traction, and sometimes I click on a teacher and I listen, and as soon as I hear the words high vibration, boom, I switch it off, because I know this is total nonsense. It's a waste of time. So, because I hear it all the time now, and you come across an article sometimes and it might be talking about vibrations, talking about high vibrations, talking about happiness, but that's just not possible. In other words, they are creating something that is just not even true. It's not possible. So if you visit, I'm not saying you can't listen to other people, but if you do, that's my advice. Be very circumspect, because this is what God said as well. Be very circumspect about the name of God. You know what that means? What is the name of God? Let's take it to the basic principle. Ahye asher ahye, I am, that I am. So what does God say? Be very circumspect. Do not follow other gods. Meaning, I am the only God. So when you set the I am principle in motion, I am the owner of such and such, you have set the principle of God in motion. Then do not go chasing after other gods. Meaning, if another person is saying, hey, no, you got to do it this way. You got to raise your vibration first, and then you got to wear, pink dress, and you got to wear a frock, and you got to be out of there as fast as possible, because they're misleading you. They're drawing you into this mystical web where there's actually no truth. And people are so, how should I say, naive. Some people are so naive, they get drawn into it. They will get drawn into that atmosphere, and they will think that they're going to get something out of it, because some people are desperate. Some people are desperate to mend their relationships. Maybe they have a bad relation, they broke up with their partner, and they want to mend it. And there's nothing wrong with that. When I was going to record a video for relationships, I wanted to see what these other people are saying. And every video I heard was, oh, you shouldn't have your relationship that's broke. Oh, you should be looking for a new relationship. Oh, you should not be going back to a particular previous partner because maybe they're not good for you and universe don't want it. This, that, blah, 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 and on it goes. All of that, by the way, is total garbage. Because if you have invested interest in a partner, in a spouse that you have been with for 20 years, maybe 10 years, maybe longer, and you want to stay with them, you have absolute vested interest in that person, and you should have absolute no question that you can have that relationship back. But this idea that people out there put forward that you shouldn't or you should look for another is actually not correct. Because you may have vested interest, you may have invested in that person thousands of dollars, money, time, effort, and when something breaks down, then sometimes maybe you want to go back to that person. And other times you might say, you know what, like Rabbi Kefa's instance, Rabbi Kefa said, you know what, no, I need to move on. I think, there's something better out there. That's a different matter. But in your case, you might say, you know what, I need to stay here. This is where things are going to work for me. And maybe another place you might be, yes, I think that this relationship is spent and I don't think that I can mend it. It's so broke that even if I try to mend it, I may actually end up broken myself. So these are questions that only you can answer for yourselves, and you can decide for yourself that if you want to mend a broken relationship or whether you want to go for a totally different change. And I think this is something that you need to decide. But the basic element of any manifestation is the end result. In other words, simple faith, childlike faith, a belief, a faith like a child, and a trust in God will bring you there. Anything less than that will be problematic. So always when you set yourself a goal, then remember that, keep your faith as clear and as simple as a child, and you will do well. So with that, I want to say thank you for listening. Have a great Shabbat, a great, wonderful week ahead. And until next time, we will speak again. I'm going to say I love you all. Take care. Shalom, shalom.